Good morning, I'm Mike Graham, he's Mike Parry. You're listening to the two Mikes and we're keeping you entertained throughout the night. It's all doom and gloom at Old Trafford after Manchester United were beaten in the Europa League last night. And everyone's wondering, what's happened to Jose Mourinho? Has he lost his touch? This weekend he's visiting Bobcat Bob down in Swansea. He's got his eye on some new players.
I've met Dimitar a few times, and I know that he's anxious to get back into the Premier League. But certainly I know about his intentions, and I certainly have seen some of the good things he's done in the past.
He's on your radar?
Yeah, he's on. There's a lot of things on my radar right now.
A lot of things on his radar. Could he get his first win against Jose? 08717 223344. Also coming up on the show is Porky Quiz night. There's been a late alteration to the proposed subject. Instead of the history of TV, it's now on Liverpool, where we're going on tonight to a live show. I'm predicting 4 out of 10. You're listening to the two Mikes with me, Mike Graham, and Mike Parry on Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes. We are going to the Liverpool Academy tonight at around about 7:30 on stage. Right now, though, it's time to say very, very good morning to Mr. Mike, a Porky, a Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
You gotta be smart about what you say and what you don't say. I get things on my radar.
Bobcat Bob will get his first win. I'm going to predict that this weekend.
Well, you see, this is what it's coming to. And by the way, very good evening to you, Mike. Thanks very much indeed. I see that you're flaunting your car now in a big way and parking it right in front of the front doors of
I always park my car there.
Sport Towers.
I've always parked the other car there. That's where I park. Well, thanks very much for telling everybody where my car is at all times. I mean, that's really helpful.
I know what you're about. I think Jose's got a bit of a problem in the sense that his whole body language, his attitude, his facial expressions, his inability to exude self-confidence and confidence in his team. Somebody said to me last week, and they were a student of football in the way that I'm not. They said, well, do you think that Jose's now been around a little bit too long and he's stopped learning the game?
Yes.
And that other coaches like Pep Guardiola
have all caught up
and overtaken him in the knowledge about how the game has to develop.
Are you saying he might be a bit old?
I'm saying he could be losing ground against coaches who have got into the thinking game.
I still think something happened at Chelsea.
In football tactics and who are out-thinking him.
I still think something happened at Chelsea that's affected his mindset, his personality. Yep. I can't be specific about what I think it is, but I think it's had a deep and far-reaching effect on the way that he operates.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the whole impact he's had on Manchester United is just not the impact he normally has when he arrives at a club. When he arrives at a club normally, anything changes. It always changes for the better. And an invisible force shield sort of settles around that club, and you can't get through it if you're the opposition or if you're sort of anti-Jose Mourinho. But right. I just don't know how it could have changed so badly for him in such a short period of time.
Although listening to some of the callers ringing into TalkSport after the game,
yes,
they're all saying this is the same team that wouldn't play for David Moyes, the same team. I mean, it's not completely the same team, but the same team that didn't really play for Ryan Giggs, the same team that didn't really play for Louis van Gaal, and now not really playing for Jose Mourinho. So is it really necessarily down to him? But surely it should be.
Well, I think it is. The other thing is, we'll stop talking about it eventually, because at the moment it's only because Manchester United's fall from grace has been so accentuated by the shuffling of managers since Sir Alex Ferguson left. But actually, I mean, I can remember when Manchester United went into a 26-year lull.
Sure. And
after about 3 or 4 seasons of this, they weren't regarded as the biggest club in the world anymore. They're just regarded as, I don't know, mid-table Premier League club.
Yeah, but I guess things have moved on from that as well, haven't they? Because it's now such a massive... I mean, it's the first club, I think, that turned over, is it more than £1 billion a year?
Oh, no, definitely. But
and even if they were to go down and become a mid-table team, they'd still do that.
They certainly would, but what I'm saying is, you won't believe it, but about 7 or 8 years ago, AC Milan were the biggest club in the world. This is at a time when, do you remember seeing Rudy Hullet lifting the Champions League, in an AC Milan shirt and all this kind of stuff? And if you don't keep your eye on the ball, and I'm talking about the people who run these clubs, you don't keep your eye on the ball, Wilsh, you disappear very quickly.
People were talking about Inter Milan going down to play at Southampton yesterday.
Exactly.
Although, Southampton have come up as well, so they're still in Europe.
Yep.
But I was happy to see that Inter Milan have not yet lost the dark arts of Italian football. Lots of punching bouncing off
That's
the
right,
ball.
yeah.
You know, lots of pushing and
Well,
pulling,
that's what they're well known for,
tugging
isn't it?
people down in the penalty area.
That's one of the things they do, I'm afraid, you know, and they sort of get
Great
on with
win
it.
for Southampton, though.
Great win for Southampton. Congratulations, Southampton. We don't say that often enough, you know, to teams that are supposed to be less fashionable. Congratulations, Matt Le Tissier, who will have really, really enjoyed that game. And
Why congratulating him?
well, because he's
He had
an old...
nothing to do with it.
No, he's an old pal, Matt. And he will have inspired them. He
When was
still
the last
inspires
time
them.
you spoke to him?
When I went in the Matt Le Tissier lounge at Southampton last season.
Last season?
Yes.
Are you sure it wasn't
Yes.
the season before?
What?
Are you sure it wasn't the season before?
What do you mean?
Well, I know that you went to Southampton last season.
I did.
I think it was the season before.
No, I went last
Because
season as well.
That was the game where you forgot which stripes they were playing in. Do you remember you said they weren't playing red and white stripes anymore? And you'd actually been to the game.
I'm trying to get difficult. What are you getting difficult for?
Well, because I remember the conversation.
The season...
I remember you saying,
Yeah.
you know, Southampton don't play in red and white stripes anymore.
Listen,
and then we found pictures of the game that you went to where they were playing in red and white stripes.
I don't know what garbage you're talking about, man. I went 2 years ago when Roberto was going to be our saviour, and we won 3-0.
Oh, yeah.
Lukaku and... Lukaku scored 2, actually, that day. We won 3-0. And we all thought it was going to take off. And but I went last season as well.
Yeah.
I think we lost last season.
Do you?
Yeah.
Were they playing in red and white stripes, though?
Hey?
Were they playing in red and white stripes?
What's that got to do with it? Why do you ask these irrelevant, nonsensical
Well, no,
questions?
because you maintained at that particular time that
Yes.
Southampton didn't play in red and white stripes anymore.
They played in a shirt design where the stripe was so wide it actually looked like a broadband type effect. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah.
What, you mean like sort of Ajax style?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, a bit like Sheffield Wednesday changed their shirts to sort of like.
Did you see what Inter
panels
Milan were
of
playing
blue.
in last night?
No, what were they playing
They
in?
were playing in this bizarre sort of blue and green affair.
I saw it.
Which sort of went. It was one of those things that looked like I don't know what it looked like really. It looked like one of those kind of plastic toys. But it sort of merged from blue into green
know
halfway
what you
down
mean.
the shirt and then went into the shorts.
I know what you mean. Hey, but did you see the Fenerbahce goal after a few seconds?
What, the first one?
Yeah. Whoa, wow, what a goal that was.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about that, I suppose. People call it a worldie.
Well, he said
and I
they
do
were...
get fed up with some of these ridiculous football
I
expressions.
don't like that. I
it was
never
a
use
worldie.
it. I never use it.
A worldie.
I
What
never
is a
use
worldie?
it.
A mate of mine called Gordon Watson came up with that, and I said, "What's that?"
Really?
Then, Gordon? Yeah, he used to play for Southampton,
Yeah.
funny enough. And it's world, isn't it? You know what I mean, like you know. But anyway,
It's good to see Danny Higginbotham on the TV as well.
Danny,
who's on TalkSport quite a lot.
Danny?
He was on doing TV punditry with Paul
no,
Ince.
was he?
Yeah.
Well,
highlight show.
he of course is a highly experienced and well-developed Manchester United
Well, he is. That's why
legend of the past.
That's
isn't
why
he?
they like to use
How
it.
many games did he play for United?
About 4.
Oh, did he? Yeah,
Yeah.
right, okay, yeah. Well, you know.
Well, still.
Well, I tell you what, you
There's
could
more
walk.
games than we've played.
I was going to say, you could walk up and down Deansgate in Manchester every day for a month and you wouldn't find anybody who'd played 4 games for
Yes.
Manchester United.
Now, can I explain to
Mind
you?
you, if you went to Hale Barnes and walked round the road to Hale Barnes, you'd find plenty of them. Yeah.
Now, I don't know why you're being so disparaging about
No.
Manchester.
No.
We're going to Liverpool tonight, right?
We are.
There was an...
In fact, this very day, before this very day is out,
Yeah.
we will have been on the stage at the O2 Academy in Liverpool.
Yes.
We'll have
Not the arena.
wooed a sellout crowd.
I'm told it's Academy 1 as well, because apparently you'll like this, because apparently
Yeah.
there's Academy 1 and Academy 2.
Oh, okay.
And somebody asked the question, which one is it?
Yeah.
And I didn't know.
Oh, yeah?
But apparently it's Academy 1. I knew you'd like that.
Yeah, well, you know.
Because you'd like to be associated with the number 1, don't you?
Call me number one.
No.
That was a Tremolo song.
Was it?
Yeah.
Are you ever going to sing anything that's from, sort of later than 1968?
Chip Hawkes' dad. Chip Hawkes? No, who was the Hawkes kid who did the record?
Chesney Hawkes.
Chesney, yeah, it was Chesney's dad,
Who's
Chip.
Chip.
Chip
Chip's
Hawkes was his dad.
Oh, okay. Have
Chip-
they got, is it
Chip-
one of those families where all their names begin with CH?
I don't know, but what I can tell you is Chip was recently involved in the famous court case in Chester where about 53 years ago, allegedly, some girl at a concert, Tremolo's concert, said, "Oh, I was inappropriately attacked by
Well,
Chip
a
Hawkes."
laughing matter, you know.
Well, it is, because the minute it got to court, it got thrown out.
No.
And the judge said it was ludicrous
Oh,
and
was it?
ridiculous,
Okay.
which it is, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
In some cases. Now, the reason that, that
Yeah.
there's been an intervention in the quiz scenario
Yes.
is because I was busy this afternoon doing various different things.
Right.
Got a phone call from the independent quizmasters
Yes.
who said, we're quite happy to put together a quiz on the history of British television.
Yes.
However, is it not normal procedure
Yes.
to do a quiz on the city that you are visiting when you're doing a live show?
Yes.
And I said, yeah, quite right. I think we should change it and do it on Liverpool.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I'm hoping that...
So after all week studying, my historical journals on the history of TV in this country, I'm suddenly told at 2:00 today it's History of Liverpool. Fortunately, because I was brought up in
the culture of
reasonably in the
Liverpool.
area.
Well,
yeah.
also in the culture of Liverpool.
Well, I go there a lot to watch Everton, obviously.
No, I'm talking about your upbringing. Your father was from Birkenhead, you told me.
Yeah.
And your mother's from Birkenhead.
Yes, that's true.
So, you're basically a sort of second-generation Liverpudlian.
No, I'm not.
Why not?
Well, because people from Birkenhead are not Liverpudlians, and people from Chester certainly aren't. I'm a Cestrian.
What, you mean if you live in Birkenhead, you're not a Liverpudlian?
No, of course you're not.
Really?
No.
Well, I didn't know that, so...
They say, you're from the other side of the water, you're a foreigner.
Really?
So, yeah.
It's a bit tribal.
Well, it's the way it
Well,
works,
anyway,
mate.
well, if it makes you feel better, we can do the history of British television next week.
Yes, okay, good idea.
And then that knowledge that you've amassed will not have gone to waste.
Yes, absolutely.
What say you?
That's right,
Excellent.
indeed.
Now, we're talking to Billy Garton coming up in a little while.
We certainly are.
Who's a Manchester United player of some renown as well.
Billy Garton?
Billy
How many
Garton.
times did he play for United?
More than 4.
More than 4,
And,
yeah. Old
also-
Jeff here, by the way, I've got to read this to you. Old Jeff says, Mr. Graham, make sure you park your car in full sight of your cameras just in case the phantom note writer returns.
Oh, yes, it's very true, that, yeah. How about this from Ernie? Why is Mike Parry now referring to cars as just a thing with 4 wheels?
Yeah.
It wasn't like that when he was bumming up his new fastback.
Excuse me?
It's true.
No. I mean, people who,
Just the time, by the way.
just sort of play on their material possessions.
I don't.
Get on my nerves.
That's not what I do. That's what
Yes,
you do.
yes.
And you're just upset now because my material possession is better than yours.
No.
Anyway, that's enough of that car business. We've got loads to talk about. We're going to be talking about somebody who's come up with a cure, possibly for blindness as
That's
well.
right.
Which will be fascinating
If you've got
stuff.
a glass
We're gonna
eye,
talk
give us a shout, 'cause
little
we
bit
could
of,
help.
A little bit of Formula One. This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. There will be a podcast coming out. I think there might be maybe 2 or 3 tickets or maybe 4 tickets left for the show tonight in Liverpool.
That's
so if
right.
you want to get one, you better get your skates on. And we will see you there tonight at the Academy, O2 Academy 1,
Yes.
which is easy to say, but not quite so easy to understand. Now, coming up tonight, of course.
I got an amazing call today.
Did you?
Yeah, and chaps rang me and said, oh, yeah. Well, he texted me first, and said, do you mind if I give you a call? I said, no. He said, oh, no.
Well, did you know who it was?
He's from a photographic agency, and somebody had given him my number.
Oh, I see. But when he texted you, how did you know who it was?
Well, he said, do you mind if I give you a call? I am so-and-so from this photographic agency.
Oh, I
I said, yeah, give me a call. So
right,
give me a call. So, anyway, he wanted to know what time train we're on because he wants to meet us off the train
to
take a picture of us arriving in Liverpool.
Oh, right,
Which I thought was rather nice.
Yeah. Well, you didn't ask me about this.
Sorry?
You didn't ask me about this.
I'm not sure he wants to take a picture of you.
No, he just wants a picture of you.
I'll get off the train first. So,
okay.
So,
well, that's fine.
Yeah.
Are we travelling together?
Yes, I've
You haven't
sorted
got
all
me a
that.
ticket in a second class?
No. Don't worry, you're at my table. Don't worry about
great.
that. No
Is it
problem
near the
at all.
window?
Well, you can have a window seat if you want. You sort of have such a vacuous mind. You're probably going to stare out the window for the next 2.5
Well,
hours.
I quite like looking out the windows of trains, actually.
Yeah. Now, listen.
I mean, I've got a good mind to drive now because my car's so nice.
Yeah, well,
I might just
exactly. Why
drive
don't
on
you
my
do
own.
that? Why don't you do that? And then put a sign on the top saying, MG's new car, look at me. Why don't you do that? Yeah.
You're really upset by it, aren't you?
No, not upset at
No,
all.
that's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yes.
Now, after the incredible excitement of the World Series last night, I just want to tell you that there's also now tonight, Thursday night football.
Oh, yeah.
It's Tampa Bay against Atlanta. And Atlanta are currently leading by 13-7.
Oh,
but did you watch it when you went home? Because after when the show finished yesterday,
Yeah.
they went into a rain delay, right?
Yeah.
And they were still all square.
Right.
And then the Chicago Cubs ended up winning for the first time in 108 years. It was terribly exciting.
Yeah.
So did you see the final sort of denouement?
I saw some coach guy literally blind, Bill Murray.
Yeah.
Because he said, "Hey, Bill, great to have you in the locker room," and then he took the cork out the bottle and literally got
what,
Murray
sort of Formula One style?
Yeah, full in the face. Honestly, Murray, you could see he was gasping.
Wasn't that the owner of the team?
I'm not sure who he was,
Yeah.
a coach or owner or something like that. And then some clever speechwriter gave President Obama a great line.
Uh-huh.
The last time they won, 108 years ago,
Yeah.
sliced bread had literally not been introduced to America.
Really?
So Obama was allowed to use the
Yeah.
line, You truly are the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Well, surely before sliced bread.
Yeah, even before
so it
sliced
doesn't
bread.
work, does it?
Well, even before sliced bread.
Well, it doesn't work if
well,
you said the
Obama
greatest
made
thing
it
since
work.
sliced bread.
Obama made it work.
Well, he must have told you better than you did.
Yeah, he must have done. But I mean,
well,
then
I told
again,
you yesterday because somebody tweeted it in
Yes.
the last time the Cubs won the World Series.
Yeah.
It was the same year that Butch Cassidy, the Sundance Kid, were gunned down
Yeah.
by the Bolivian army.
I know, that's brilliant, isn't it? Absolutely brilliant. That was a great ending to that film, wasn't it? You kind of...
Well, no, it was the worst ending ever.
Why?
Because Hollywood suddenly realised that
Yes.
they'd killed the two guys off who were going to be the golden goose that were going to lay many, many golden
But
eggs.
they hadn't killed him off. That was the point. They came running out, and then the film
Yeah, of
froze.
course they could killed off. They were dead.
No. You could have cleverly done it by...
Oh, what? Suddenly they would have survived being shot multiple
No,
times
no.
by men with rifles who were all around them.
No, I'd have opened the next film with a Bolivian army officer suddenly, throwing his hand up in the air and saying to his men, "Don't fire!" Or "Don't
Yeah, but
shoot."
They'd already been firing.
They'd been firing at them in the cave.
No.
But when they were out the
they
cave...
ran out and the bullets were flying.
Well, you couldn't see any bullets in their bodies.
No, because that wasn't the kind of film it was.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. You could have got away with it.
It wasn't Sam Peckinpah.
You could
No,
have,
they realised because they then made the prequel, which bombed. It was terrible.
It did,
because
yeah.
nobody was interested in the early, Butch and Cassidy, the early years,
Totally agree.
without Redford and Newman.
I totally
No,
agree.
but just to go back to the World Series,
Yes.
I've got a story here
we're
about.
going back on that, are we?
Well, because it's an interesting story about a fan.
A fan,
a
yeah.
guy, 19-year-old by the name of Mike Nero.
Oh, yeah.
Who basically went.
Any relation to, the violin guy?
What, the guy that was fiddling? No, not him at all. I don't think so. Although you never know. I mean, everyone in America is related to somebody from Europe, which is why it makes it all the more curious that they want to shut everything down.
Yeah.
One of the funniest things, actually, watching the whole Trump-Clinton debacle is the way they're interviewing these people who are speaking American with what has to be said to be a foreign accent, saying we have to shut the borders.
Yeah.
Even Trump's wife.
That's right.
Trump's wife doing a speech yesterday.
Yeah, he said shut the borders.
We have to shut the borders, It's like, yeah, right, well, you've just come in.
Want to keep the people out,
Anyway, this guy gets a tattoo done, right, of the Cleveland Indians winning the World Series in 2016.
Oh, yes.
3 hours before the game.
Yes.
And they didn't win it.
They didn't win. Well, these things happen. What was that famous newspaper headline? Dewey beats Truman. That was it. That was the famous one. Dewey, Dewey was the candidate, beats Truman. And unfortunately, when the last 300 votes piled in, Truman beat Dewey.
Yeah, well.
So I'm afraid that was the worst.
Well, that wasn't as bad as CBS calling it Al Gore victory, which
That's right,
wasn't.
Exactly, yeah.
Don't forget, of course, if we haven't told you yet, we are doing a massive all-night election special on Tuesday night, going into Wednesday morning.
We are
which
indeed.
Which will be a rip snorter, I think.
It will be a rip snorter, and we're looking forward to it because the intrigue is going to be absolutely sensational.
It really is.
Now, I tell you what, the young man I'm most impressed by, and for a long, long time, is Lance Stroll.
Lance, what do you mean for a long, long time? You never heard of him until today.
Yeah, I know I hadn't, but I mean, he's very
So
impressive.
how have you been impressed with him for a long, long time?
No, I said the young man with whom I've been most impressed than any other young man for a long, long time, if you've been listening.
Oh, I see. Oh, it's your syntax that's confused me.
It's Lance Stroll.
Okay.
And that's because Lance Stroll, a Canadian, hasn't even yet got a licence to drive a car on the roads of Canada.
Well, Max Verstappen was the same, wasn't he?
Max Verstappen was the same. But he's now been taken on as the number 2 driver for Williams.
That's right.
Which is one of the most successful Formula 1 teams over the years. I mean, I know they haven't won anything for a lot of years, but remember...
They haven't got the right engine, have they?
No, but under Frank Williams, they had brilliant drivers like Nigel, what's his name?
Mansell,
who won his first 5 Grand Prix in the season he won the World Championship, right? And they've had other great drivers. I think, didn't Alain Prost drive them?
I think he might have done.
Yeah, I think he did.
He might have done.
And
this guy's the first Canadian Formula 1 driver since Jacques Villeneuve.
Well,
which is quite a long time, isn't it?
It is a long time because Jacques Villeneuve won the world title as well. I think, was that with Williams?
I don't know.
And then went off and started his own team, which bombed, and then sort of never drove again.
Sure.
But he did that in the shadow of his father, Gilles Villeneuve.
Did he?
Who was also a Canadian.
Well, he would have been.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Well, he was a Canadian, so his dad would have been a Canadian.
Yeah, that's true. And did Gilles Villeneuve win the World Championship
I have
as
no
well?
idea.
I think he might have done.
Why are you quizzing me on Formula 1?
I think he might have done. Well, I'm just saying that it's sensational, isn't it? Because...
Do you know his father, Lawrence Stroll, who's a Canadian billionaire businessman? Yeah. Do you know how he made his money?
Yeah, importing Pierre Cardin shirt into Canada.
That's right.
So, I mean, I'm not the only one who thinks Pierre Cardin's got a future. Apparently, he did the same with Tommy Hilfiger as well.
That's right, yeah.
And all that kind of stuff. But what I was going to say is that can you imagine the greatest sort of to use an old-fashioned expression, the greatest bird-pulling
That's
position.
a shocking expression.
I know it is. It's an old-fashioned.
That's
and
a shocking expression. I don't want to hear it.
I would never use it in modern life. But what I'm
you
saying
just used
is,
it.
can you imagine you're 18, strolling to school one day, and somebody says, what's his name, Lance? Lance, can I see you this weekend? No, you can, my dear. Oh, why not, Lance? I'm driving in the Canadian Grand Prix. Push off. Can you imagine that at the age of 18?
That's the way you would speak to people, isn't it?
Well,
push off.
Yeah.
Well, why would you invite her to the, to the party?
Well, because you'd have half a dozen women throwing themselves at you at the party already with long blonde hair.
I see.
And enhanced bodies.
Now there are those who say that this boy has only got the opportunity because of his dad's money.
Well, his dad has apparently put $30 million dollars into the racing team. But I think nepotism's a very good thing.
Do you?
I think if you
Well,
say
you didn't benefit from it, did you?
No, never. My father never gave me a penny.
No. But is that why you like nepotism then? Because you kind of envy people who can get it.
Not really. I think that if you're wealthy and you've got a lot of money and you're taking a risk on something, then if you don't know your own son and your own daughter, I mean, for instance, the Williams team that he signed up to is now run by Sir Frank Williams' daughter.
Yeah.
And that's nepotism, obviously.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But also she's very good at what she does.
Well, I mean,
so I think if you know your family and you trust them, I don't see any problem with that.
Well, yeah, but I mean, as long as somebody is good at what they do, that's fine. But they don't start off being good at what they do, and as long as they do it the right way. I mean, this guy seems to have done it the right way because he's won loads and loads of races at the lower levels.
Well,
he won the Formula 3 championship,
and he's gone the normal route. He started in karts like Lewis Hamilton did.
And he says himself, "I believe I earned my shot in Formula 1 because I've won every championship that I've competed in."
Exactly.
So that's fair enough, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying. The other great nepotistic sporting family is old Eddie, the boxer.
Eddie?
Eddie
Hearn.
Eddie Hearn,
yeah.
Whose father, Barry Hearn, I mean, created the modern world of sports sponsorship and promotion. And his son took up the boxing side of it and has been amazingly successful at what he's done.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's another case of Barry Hearn saying, I know my boy better than anybody.
Well,
I know he's up to it. He does
don't
it.
you now wish that you had a son to pass on all of your largesse and experience and business to?
Well, if I did, I would. I mean, for instance, so many people in our industry, in journalism and broadcasting and all that, get their kids in by ringing up their mates and saying, listen, can you give my boy a leg up or something like that? I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that because the point is that, I mean, I've had it all my life. I've been a senior executive in so many organisations. Somebody rings up and says, I said, I'll give him a chance. I said, but that's all I'm going to do. I said, he's not getting any special favours.
Yeah.
I said, but he comes through the door, he gets 6 weeks to prove himself. If my lieutenants then say this guy's got it, then he stays. If they say he's a juice head and can't do it, he goes. It's as simple as that.
Wow, you're a tough man.
Yeah.
These are the rules under which Mr. Parry's lived his life for many, many years.
Well, do you remember the boy who went out with Theo Pafitas' daughter?
Oh, yeah.
And he got in here.
He was also the son of a guy who works at the Express, wasn't he?
He was. He was the son of a guy who worked at the Express, who had newspaper connections, and we had some senior executives here who had ex-newspaper connections.
Yeah.
Giving him an allowance to whiten his teeth or something. And
maybe he got it free with the Hertfordshire Bugle or whatever it was.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
And
I've seen the time, by the way.
And the guy was hopeless. He was so hopeless, he once turned up at an event where Prince William was playing polo and told his security officer he was from, a radio station and he wanted to interview him. He thought that was initiative.
No, really?
He got arrested.
Did he? Well, there we are. More stories like that coming up. Also, we'll be talking to Billy Gartley. It is the Porky Quiz. It's on Liverpool. This is Talk Sport.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I ever get back, so it's root for Chicago. If they don't win, it's a shame. Or if not sure how at the old ball game. Let's get some run. Yeah.
Do you know who that is singing? It's Bill Murray. I wouldn't expect you to recognise his voice, but that is Bill Murray singing.
That was after the game.
No, it's actually just something that's in the archive because he's a big Cubs fan.
Oh, I know he is.
He's quite often out there, watching the games and singing.
Well, Bill Murray got it in the eyes last night from some guy in the locker room. It was champagne, Formula One style, straight to his face. He didn't look happy to me.
Somebody tweeted me a thing today, and it's too long ago for me to unfortunately give them a credit for it, but it was some interview that Bill Murray had given about how he'd learned to drink champagne from some legendary sort of raconteur.
Yes.
And how he basically took the cardboard out of a case of champagne. You take all the cardboard out from in between the bottles.
Sorry, what's the case made of?
Well, the case is made of cardboard, effectively.
Right.
A case of have you never ordered a case of champagne?
Yes, but I mean, it sounds to me like you're making out this is made of wood.
No, it's not made of wood.
Right.
I mean, you could probably get it delivered in a wooden box if you
but
so
anyway,
wish.
So go on.
If you order a case of champagne, it normally comes in a cardboard box.
Yeah, I know that.
Right, and it normally
Don't
has...
you remember I once ordered a case of champagne to the Essex House Hotel and invited you and a few friends around for
I was never there.
a cocktail party?
No, I don't know why you say I was there.
You arrived with a pram in which Emma was sitting.
I was never at the Essex House Hotel.
You were.
Well, I don't remember it.
Well, I do.
I'm sure if I was there, I would have remembered it. And trust me, my memory's better than yours.
No, you're out of your face after about an hour.
No, incorrect.
I kept all the champagne in the bath with
I wasn't there.
A huge industrial
That was
amount
the
of
night
ice.
You tried to put the moves on Sandra, and I wasn't there then.
No, honestly, it was a
different time.
It might have been the same week, but it was. But anyway,
so you admit that then?
So anyway, go on. This case of champagne.
Yeah. So you know how it's the bottles are separated by what can only be described as sort of bits of cardboard. Right, which are sort of folded into each other.
Yes.
Take all the cardboard out,
right,
and you then pour a bucket load of ice, basically, over the whole box.
But then this is why I asked you what the case was made of. That cardboard box would then fall apart because of the moisture out of the ice.
No, it wouldn't. No,
of course it would.
Because wine boxes are very heavily put together. It's kind of corrugated cardboard because it's very heavy, and otherwise the box would not carry the weight of all the bottles.
So what happens next?
So you then keep the ice instead of putting all of it in the freezer.
Yes.
Because you might not have a freezer big enough.
Yes.
And you keep
Where'd you get all the ice from then? If you haven't got a big freezer.
Well, you can buy ice.
Well, yeah, okay, so that's very premeditated. I'll go buy a few bags of ice and then
well, if you ever had a party, you would buy bags of ice for it, wouldn't you? Because your measly little freezer is not going to make enough ice to be able to give people all the ice they want.
Well, no, I mean, as I said, when it was the Essex House Hotel, we put it all in the bath. They literally brought up an industrial.
Well, that's because you were staying in a hotel.
Full of ice.
Well, if you're staying in a hotel, they will do that for you. But if you're staying in your house,
so you put all this ice in the box, yeah.
So you put ice in it, right? And then what you do is, he said, the way that he learned to drink champagne was, he said that the problem for most people is they drink champagne a little bit too quickly, and it's so sweet and acidic they actually get drunk very, very quickly.
Right.
He says a far better way to drink it is in a pint glass with a load of ice.
Right.
So you pour the champagne over the ice,
yes, and
then you drink it that way, and that way it stays colder and it makes you less intoxicated.
Who wants to be less intoxicated on an occasion like celebrating a first win in 108 years?
I don't ever set out with the idea of getting intoxicated. I drink alcohol because I like to drink this. I like the taste of it. I like champagne.
Yeah.
I like the way it tastes. I don't particularly want to be bladderated wandering about throughout my entire life.
No,
I know you prefer to be in that state.
No, but you also appreciate the effect it has on your stability and your sensibility.
No, my point is I don't set out to get drunk ever. I never have.
Well,
and so therefore, if I could drink champagne,
probably argue against that, but I won't because it's a family show.
Well, you could, but the point is that if I was able to drink champagne, pretty much all day, and not feel the effects of it, then that would be an improvement on feeling the effects of it too soon. Is what I'm saying.
You say that.
I'm hoping there'll be a bottle of Bollinger on stage tonight, by the way, as per usual.
Yeah. Well, did you get it written into the contract?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Well, it should be there
then. Cheap Pinot for you.
Beg your pardon?
Some cheap Pinot for you.
I am not going to start demanding highly expensive drink on the stage.
Why not?
Because I'm not a prima donna, and I don't do that sort of thing.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, that is right.
How about this from Jack? If Lance Stoll's dad is worth £2 billion, does that mean he sold 2 billion Pierre Cardin shirts? Good question.
I don't know. That is a good question. His name's Lawrence, by the way, his dad, and as I say, I think it's a good thing. You can bet your life.
Is Lance short for Lawrence, or is it short for Lancelot?
I don't know, but his name is Lance. He's known as the Lance.
Yeah, but it'd be short for something, wouldn't it?
Why?
Well, you wouldn't call somebody Lance, would you?
Why not?
Is it short for Lancelot?
No, I don't know, but it's Canada, so...
Well, you said you've been admiring his kid for a while, so I presume you know what his real name is.
No, I don't care what his real name is. I mean,
you don't care.
Okay, is Jensen Button short for, Jensonian
Yeah,
button.
it's short for Jensen Interceptor.
Exactly, that's right, yeah.
Remember those cars?
Yes, I do. Fantastic.
Yeah,
In
I used
fact,
to have a toy one. And in fact, one guy in my street used to have one.
well, I tell you what, when I worked at the filling station in Chester
Right.
as a sort of callow youth, about 15 I
What you
was.
mean as part of the
15, 16.
the red diesel smuggling ring?
Well, there was a bit of that going on. People would turn up in the middle of the night, with loads of petrol, which seemed to have been acquired nefariously from Stanlow Oil Refinery in Ellesmere
Literally
Port.
sucked out the back of a lorry.
That sort of stuff, yeah. But there was a guy there called John. I think his name was John Bloom. Was it Broom? John Broom. It could have been.
John Broom.
Yeah. Anyway.
What difference does it make?
Well, the point is, this guy had the best car, and it was a Jensen Interceptor, and he was a very smooth sort of a guy. He was one of the few people who had an account at the garage, so he would just drive in. And you always knew when he was going out seeking horizontal refreshment, because he had a huge bouquet of flowers on the passenger seat of the Jensen Interceptor, you know what I mean? But it's the most beautiful car. I mean, I don't know why they stopped making it. I don't know why they stopped making the E-Type Jag.
They were quite expensive, weren't
Yeah,
they?
they were,
I suspect that they had a
Yeah.
sort of a limit to how many they could sell.
I don't know why they stopped making the
Didn't
Triumph
Jensen,
Stag.
But didn't Jensen go out of business, though?
Probably. It probably got bought
Or
or
got
merged
swallowed
itself.
up by somebody.
But anyway, this guy was, I think his name was John Broom.
I don't care what his name was.
But
What does that got to do with the story?
Well, what he's got to do with the story is that he was a property developer in Chester, and I'd never heard about property developers, but he used to buy old buildings in Chester and then turn them into blocks of flats and then rent them out or flog them or something like that, you know. And then he got very ambitious, and then the last time I became aware of him, I opened the Evening Standard, and this guy had bought Battersea Power Station, and he was going to turn it into a fun
really?
fair. Yeah.
Oh, that was years ago, wasn't it?
That's right. You
And
remember the
Michael
plan?
Jackson was going to be involved.
Yeah,
in
that's
that,
right.
wasn't he?
Yeah, all that kind of stuff, and I thought, oh, boy's gone a long way. Anyway.
Yeah, so what's happened to him now?
Well, exactly. I've no idea. I think he's gone back to Chester to.
Well, maybe if you could remember his name, there might be a chance that you could hook up with him.
Exactly, hook up with him and say, where did it all go wrong, John? But anyway, no, I washed his car for him a couple of times. He's very generous. I think he gave me a £5.
Really?
Which was worth about 25
Is that where
quid
you
in
learned
those
to
days.
hand out money to people?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I was handing money out to anybody. He was
No,
giving
but I
it
mean
to me.
now in later life, though, because
Yes.
he was what we call a hero, because he drove around in a flash car.
Well, that's true.
And threw money around.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, it could have been. I don't know. Could have been something like that.
What have you got to say, by the way, about the effect on your property empire
Yes.
of the High Court decision earlier today, or yesterday, I should say,
On
about
what?
about Brexit?
Well,
Don't tell me that's passed you by.
tell
It
me.
has, hasn't it?
No.
It's passed you by.
Tell me the relevance of what you're talking about.
Well, do you know what's happened in the High Court today?
Well, lots of things happened in the High Court
Well,
today.
with reference to Brexit.
Yes.
Well, do you know what's happened?
Lots
don't,
of
do you?
things have happened. Of course I know. I'm
You
right
don't
on top
know,
of the
do you?
game. I just don't see the relevance of this
You don't know
ridiculous
what's happened, do you?
conversation
Are
in the
you
middle
aware?
of our show.
Are
Yes.
you aware?
Yes.
Right? Oh, no, you're looking at the papers.
No.
Are you aware of what happened? A cataclysmic event that happened where basically Theresa May's been told by 3 High Court judges
Yes.
that she cannot actually trigger Article 50
Yes.
unless there is an Act of Parliament
Yes, that's
enacted,
right. Yeah.
which previously was not thought to be the case. So
Look,
now
yeah.
she's basically been told you're going to have to introduce legislation.
Yes.
So therefore, the idea of Brexit is now been put off for the best part, I would say, of at least 7 years.
Yeah, but I think what they're going to do is, I think that the...
How can you have not known about this?
Of course I know about it. I think those that manage these things are actually going to manipulate it to a new referendum. And I think that new referendum is probably going to result in people saying, I think I got it wrong last time, and vote to stay in.
as I've
And then
been
I
saying-
think that'll clear everything up.
As I've been saying ever since
Yeah.
it happened,
Yeah.
there's no way it's actually going to happen.
No.
They're just going to keep putting
No.
it off and off and off until
Yeah.
they can have another go.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I just
Absolutely.
thought my question to you was how is because the pound suddenly surged, right?
Yes.
And I just
Yes.
wondered if you might have had some kind of reaction from your financial whiz kids
No.
who might have been telling you this is great news for your property empire.
It could be or it could not be. Depends which way it goes.
Yeah.
You see, my immediate...
Thanks for that insight.
My...
You should be on the Financial Times.
My immediate reaction to it was, I thought, I know what Mrs May will now do.
Yeah.
She will now call a general election. And
She won't.
She will.
No.
She will.
What, you mean your immediate reaction just now?
No, my immediate reaction when I saw this afternoon.
Oh, right.
You don't know how busy I've been today, by the way.
I do know how busy
You don't
you've
know
been.
what I've been up to today in terms of trying to keep the empire together.
Why did you have the TV
Hey?
on in the background?
I did have the TV on in the
Why are
background,
you shouting?
but at the same time, I'm talking to people who manufacture DVDs in Scotland who can't,
You're making a right dog's breakfast of it as well.
Yeah, exactly. I'm talking to suppliers in Belgium. I'm talking to people who are putting websites together in Munich, in
Well,
Germany.
you should be concerned about Brexit then.
I'm
because
talking to
by the time you
photographers
finish,
in London who
by
are
the
going to meet
time-
me off the
by
train
the
when I get
time-
there later
By
today.
the time you finish talking to them, we'll be out of Europe.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know.
we might be, you know.
Anyway,
I could do with a bit of help on these things sometimes, by the way.
Is that how you feel?
Instead of people going out and having long lunches.
I didn't have a long lunch.
Just to flash around in their new car with the driver.
I went and bought some shirts today, though.
No.
I did.
I can't believe it.
Well, I'm wearing
you
one.
want to get a few more stolen?
I'm wearing one now. You're so disinterested in anything other than your own life that you haven't noticed I'm wearing a new shirt.
Oh, and by the way, I've nominated a charity for our warm-up show on Saturday.
Yeah, okay, well, you can tell me about that in a minute.
It's a horse charity.
Is it?
And I've talked to the owner of that today. Oh, I mean, she was so grateful to me for what I'm doing for that charity.
Yeah?
It was unbelievable.
How
yeah.
grateful?
Well, really grateful.
Well, what's she going to do?
Well, she's going to just regard me as a great person, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I won't last.
Yeah.
This is Talk Sport.
Trouble, 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 trouble. Trouble been dog in my soul since the day I was born. Worry, 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 worry. Worry just will not seem to leave my mind alone.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Of course, there's lots going on, including the Porky Quiz on Liverpool. Not Liverpool FC, but Liverpool the place. I've got a tweet here from Martin, who's a Man United fan. He says, only you media lot are bothered about United losing. What would you have to talk about if not for us? Hated, adored, never ignored. Well, Martin, I'm sorry, I've got some bad news for you, mate. When Manchester United play, and it's the big game of the night, we tend to talk about it on Talk Sport, whether they win, lose or draw. Sorry, go on.
I sort of tend to agree with our correspondent there because we wouldn't take notice of any other game in the Europa League to such an extent as people are taking notice of the Manchester United result.
Well,
because,
you would.
frankly, it's a second-rate competition.
That's not true. If Chelsea were in it and Jose Mourinho was the boss of Chelsea, you would be talking about it if they had a bad game or if they had a good game. Of course you would.
Well, you say
correct.
that, but I think it's overblown, the significance of it. I mean, if Manchester United's the extent of Manchester United's ambition this season is to win the Europa League, then they're on the wrong track anyway.
Well, you get a Champions League place for it, so why wouldn't you?
Well, yes, but
they're not going to get it any other way.
Well, it's a shockingly long route round to get a Champions League place to commit the amount of resources you need. Do you know how long a competition the Europa League is?
Of course I do.
I think you play about 8 more games than you play in the Champions League. I mean,
I know that, but the point that is not the point. The point is that the Europa League is still. It's only in England that people don't think it's a very big competition. In every other country in Europe, it is a big competition.
Yeah, but we get 4 teams in the Champions League, so why would we bother with the Europa League?
Well, you'd like it if Everton were in the Europa League, but every time they get in it, they get knocked out.
No, that's not the case at all. Well, of course you get knocked out. If we haven't won it, you get knocked out at some stage, but we've done very well in it over the years,
Really?
I have to say.
What's the best Everton have done in the Europa League?
Quarterfinals.
You sure?
Yes.
All right. Well, let's talk to Billy Garton because he's a former Man United player himself.
Yep.
He can perhaps tell us what the malaise is at Old Trafford. Billy, very good morning to you.
Hi guys, how are you doing?
Morning,
not bad
Billy.
at all.
Great to hear from you, pal.
Now, I don't know whether you agree with Mr. Parry here that the only reason people are this interested in the Europa League is because Manchester United and Jose Mourinho are involved in it. I don't think that's true, do you?
Well, it's one of those periods for us United fans where everyone's got us under the microscope and watching every single thing that goes on with the club, the performances, and so it goes with the territory for me. It's one of those situations now where it's getting increasingly worse, in terms of performance and results, and anyone that's not a Man United fan is laughing and ridiculing everything that goes on. So for that reason, I believe that every tournament, every competition they're in is interest for everybody, and it's a little bit embarrassing at present.
What do you think the problem is? I mean, we've been hearing a lot of Man United fans on TalkSport tonight saying these players didn't play for a whole series of managers. They didn't really play for Van Gaal. They didn't really play for Moyes. They didn't really play for Giggs. And, ever since Sir Alex Ferguson has left, the players seem to be more of a problem than the manager.
Well, I think you can never... I mean, I played for Fergie, so I understand this, but you can never underestimate the ability that he had to squeeze the best out of every single player, and most of the time that was driven by fear of upsetting him and not making him happy. And so, that unique sort of man management quality that he had is a special talent, and not an attribute that a lot of managers possess. And so for me, when I see players going about their business at present at Man United, it's certainly not with that same level of fear about the place in the team, or that desire to actually go and go the extra mile to help the team win. And you can see it visibly now, in my opinion. Today was a great example where the confidence is being sapped, where great players now are looking very ordinary, and ordinary or average players are looking poor and well below average. And today's performance to me was that type of performance. The confidence is low. They're almost lacking self-belief at the moment.
But that all comes from the manager himself, Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho has a haunted look about him. He's clearly an unhappy man. He's unhappy in his domestic circumstances. He's unhappy with the way his team are performing, and he's unhappy with himself and his own personal behaviour. And the message he's putting out all over the place. When he was at Chelsea the first time, when he was at Inter Milan, the message was, I'm invincible. The message now is very, very clearly, I'm vulnerable.
I think he is vulnerable, but I'm not. As I told you last time, guys, when I spoke to you, I don't think it's time to press the panic button just yet. It's nothing that 2 or 3 good wins won't correct. The Pochettino at Spurs is coming under the lash a little bit now for his, failings. And 2 months ago he was being heralded as the greatest thing out there. Guardiola never won in 6 games, and everyone was starting to question his managerial prowess.
He was still top of the league when they were doing that, though. That was the other. I suppose that was the difference.
Yeah, but everyone was saying they'd go unbeaten all season. The league was over. They were slam dunks to win everything. And all of a sudden, within the space of a month, people were talking differently. So, it is very much a cyclical event, being a manager, and it can change rapidly. I think I said this last time, guys, that if United finish mid-table, I think there'll be a problem. I think if they just about miss out on Europe, on the top 4, I think everything will be rolled over to next season with his own new personnel in place, and he'll be given another crack at it. And
you really think United have got a chance of being in the top 4, Billy?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, forever the optimist. I'm a United fan. Why would I not think that? I really do think that there's going to be a lot of shake-up before, even after the Christmas period's out of the way. The top 4 will not exist in the format that it does at present. There'll be some other surprises and teams failing along the way. So, to me, it's a long road ahead of us.
I have to say, looking at the top 4 of Manchester City, Arsenal, Liverpool and Chelsea, I can't see that changing throughout the whole year, really. And I know that, the vagaries of football would suggest that I'd be wrong about that, but I don't see a better team than any of those 4, really.
No, I mean, to be honest, I can understand why you'd say that, but you wouldn't bet on it, though, Mike.
Well, I might do.
I don't think you'd put your money where you want.
I might do.
Tell me when you do. Then I'd like to see what the fruits of your labour are there in terms of the end run. Because if you're going to bet on that being the top 4 now, and we're talking a meaningful bet here, Mike. By the way,
I'm not saying necessarily in that order. I'm just talking about those 4 teams being the top 4.
It'd still be a fairly large gamble, in my opinion, at this stage to think that was as accurate as you could be with it. I still think there's a lot of twists and turns to.
Well, it could be. But one of the twists and turns, Billy, is that Pogba can't seem to get his act together as a significant member of the Manchester United midfield. So it's not working.
I agree. And he's one of the players I was talking about earlier when I said that, a great player looking like lacking in confidence and looking really ordinary when he plays, and he's the classic example of that at the moment for me. Yes. And I agree with him. I'm not going to beat him up and denigrate him, because I don't for one second think that that it's going to last this poor form that he's in. I think he will dig himself out of it, but it's a pretty sad state of it. Well, it's not sad for you guys when you're not United fans, but it's sad for me to see someone like that struggling along.
Sure. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
But, I mean, the problem is, of course, as well, Billy, that you've got a situation now where Man United fans are not really very sure whether to back Mourinho or not. Before he came in, loads of people didn't want him, supposedly. They had the sort of nightmare scenario of Sir Alex Ferguson anointing, if you like, David Moyes. Don't you think Sir Alex Ferguson, I mean, I've said this many times, still bears some kind of responsibility for the shambles that United has become?
No, I'm never going to go down that road. I mean, the legacy the guy left behind was second to none, as we know. I don't believe for one second that you can pin any of the blame on him in any capacity. I mean, the guy was a genius at what he did. Anybody else coming in was always going to find it difficult because everybody's going to keep the comparisons going. But for me, Mourinho's as good as it gets at this moment in time for where we're at. And I think they need to give him time. And I think that the supporters, there's always that fickleness with supporters. When things are going well, they're all over it and euphoric. And when they're not going well, they're divided as to whether he should be out and out quickly. But I don't believe that for one second that anyone at the club in the hierarchy will be thinking of an exit plan for Mourinho. I think he's going to definitely be given another season at least.
Oh yeah, well he'll have to be. You can't just keep swapping your manager like that. Totally agree.
I don't think they should sack him, and I don't think they will. But I mean, I wonder whether he might just walk away or something. He just seems very, very unhappy.
Well, he could be psychologically flawed.
He might be psychologically flawed by some incident or other that has happened that we don't know anything about. Very, very strange. Billy, thank you very much indeed for taking the time to talk to us. Coming up in the next hour, we'll be talking to an expert on bionic eyes, basically, and how to fix the problem of blindness. Dr.
Brilliant.
James Whelan is going to be joining us. He's the Professor of Ophthalmology and Biomedical Engineering at the University of Southern California.
Absolutely great.
So that's going to be very interesting. Also, of course, the Porky Quiz this week.
And there's a guy here who says, listen, those new shirts that you've just bought, if you take them to the cleaners, make sure you stitch your name in schoolboy style so that nobody steals them again.
Oh, that's original. People have been saying that ever since I told the story of them being stolen.
Yeah, well, it's a practical improvement on the way that you conduct your life now.
How does that stop them being stolen?
Because if it's got your name in them, you could tag them.
How does it stop them being stolen?
It doesn't stop them being stolen.
Well,
but
so what's the point then?
Because a thief with a thief's mind is less likely to steal a shirt that has an embroidered name inside it.
Are you having a laugh?
No.
Why?
Because when he takes them to the boot sale, where you said they got,
I don't know where
they were sold.
He might be
so he takes them to some boot sale, right? People looking at him, and people look at the shirts, and they say, "Oh, it's got the name Mike Four Eyes Graham in the back here, so I'm not buying this shirt."
Wouldn't he just say that's my name?
Well, then they'd say, pull out your passport and prove it.
What, at a car boot sale?
Yes, that's right.
Have you ever been to a car boot sale?
I've been past a few. I drove past one on the A3 on a Sunday morning. There's thousands of cars there.
Do you think they're all asking for people's passports and identification? You are such a sort of ingenue at times.
I think there is an element of criminality about some of these boot sales.
Really? Brilliant. This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on, of course. Nat says, I'll send you the labels with your name embroidered on them. What do you think? Ha ha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's a very good idea. There's no way would that be stopped from, would stop anyone from stealing them.
No.
It wouldn't make any difference at all.
You don't think so?
Yeah. How about this one from somebody calling himself CLC?
Oh, yes.
I still can't believe MG had his shirt stolen. How anyone has the same body shape as this buffoon is beyond me. Well, unfortunately for CCL, he doesn't know how to spell buffoon.
No.
Which rather sort of
negates
the whole point of the barbed comment.
But he's got a point. I'm not sure who would want shirts as
gross.
I'm
quite happy to tell people what size my shirts are. My shirts are generally a 16.5 or a 17.
Right.
What size are yours?
X.
You're the one that doesn't want to reveal your size, not me.
No, I've got no...
well, you've got a size that nobody else has then.
Yeah, well, that's...
So when you went into pink, right, what did you say? I want a size X shirt.
No, I said, have you got a shirt that'll fit me? And they got one, and I noticed there was an X in it. So, listen, I want to talk to you about... Like, last week, we talked about the amazing earning power of Adele. Right?
Adele.
Yeah, she earned nearly £1.5 million a week.
Yes, well, she's got a new deal for 90 million, I think, isn't she?
And all that kind of stuff. But guess what? On figures just released yesterday, and Forbes, the magazine, keeps a big eye on these high earners.
Well, they have a rich list, don't they?
Yeah, and they constantly update it. They don't just publish it once a year. They're constantly updating it. Taylor Swift. Now, she's the young lady who was knocking around with the night manager guy.
That's one way of putting it.
Tom, what's his name?
Hiddleston,
yeah.
Well, I mean, you say knocking around. I'm not quite sure how you mean that.
Well, no, I don't mean that in any sort of sexually depraved manner. I mean that she was accompanying him around the world on her private jet.
Or alternatively, involved in a massive PR stunt to try and push the night manager in America.
Well, who knows? But the point of my story is that last year she earned £138 million.
Yes, more than Adele.
which is like getting on for £2.5 million a week.
Yeah.
Or nearly £3 million a week.
Yeah, it's not bad,
is it? This is just ridiculous money.
Why?
Well, because...
Well, surely you admire people that make a load of money.
I do, but these are vast amounts of dosh. I don't know what they do with them.
She works very hard for it.
I just know, yeah, I'm sure she does, and I'm sure she's a very talented young lady. She's obviously got it right. So Taylor Swift 137.8 million.
Yeah.
Adele 65.
Are these dollars or pounds?
Pounds.
Right.
Pounds. Adele 65.2 million pounds.
Yeah.
Madonna 62.
See, that's amazing that Madonna still makes that kind of money.
Well,
I
it must
think.
be on album sales, mustn't it?
And probably, I think she still does shows.
Shows and all that. Yeah, apparently Taylor Swift's was all to do with her world tour. You know what I mean? Where like 2 million a night.
I mean that's the thing. The old days of doing a tour to support an album and hoping that people would buy the album are over.
Yeah.
They now do these shows which make them so much money.
Yeah, mega
because
shows.
ticket prices are hundreds and hundreds of pounds.
That's right. Yeah. So Taylor Swift, Adele, Madonna, Rihanna 60.8 million. Rihanna.
Yeah, well, she's worked very
made
hard
a good
as well.
song, has she?
Yeah, she's done lots of good songs.
Okay. Beyonce 43.8.
Beyonce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Katy Perry, now, isn't she the lady who was married to, the left-wing, rebel-rousing hypocrite?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Russell
Brand.
There you go.
That's him, Russell Brand.
So
I apologise.
if I give you the first name,
Sorry,
do you get the second name?
I apologise for calling you a hypocrite. You're probably not a hypocrite, just a lot of people think you are, that's all. Sorry about that. If you see what I mean. What did you say then?
What?
You said something about first name.
No, I said if I give, because normally if you give the first name, you don't know the second name.
Right.
Maybe we could do it a new way. If I give you the first name, you can maybe get the second name.
Okay, well, Russell Brand anyway. So Katy Perry earned 33.2 million. Now that's a lot more, I think, than Mr. Brand earns. So,
I would say so.
So he may have.
Although he does pretty well as well. Although after his comments about 9/11,
yes,
and Israel, he's not going to get many jobs in Hollywood.
Well, he's been very low profile over the last year because, of course,
he realised he made a complete rick by inviting the idiot Miliband into his house.
That's right, Don't worry, I'll win the election for you. In fact, he lost it for him.
Yeah, and then also going on Question Time, proving himself to be a complete banana.
Yeah, complete
unable
banana.
to answer any questions.
But talking about things like, well, Osama bin Laden had great connections with the Bush family.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all knew that, thanks.
Yeah, it's all on YouTube.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Jennifer Lopez, still earning 32 million.
Are you just going to go down this list?
Yeah, because there's only two more.
Okay.
Oops, I've done
Britney
it
Spears.
again.
There we are.
Yeah.
Well, see, you said that she's not doing much these days. She's still in the Forbes rich list.
24.7 million.
Not bad.
And then somebody called Shania Twain.
Shania Twain?
Yeah.
You've never heard of Shania Twain?
Yeah, sort of.
We'll have to play one of her songs.
Okay, 22.3. And then bringing up number 10 spot, and I think she's been around for a few decades now, Celine Dion.
Yeah.
21.9 million.
Well, when you say she's been around for a few decades, some people think that she's a lot older than she claims.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult to work out quite how old she is.
But anyway, I do admire those people. Now, listen.
So presumably that's a list of the top 10 earning female pop stars.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you worked that one out then.
Yeah.
It's pretty clever, that, yeah.
Have they done any other lists?
I'll tell you what it wasn't. It wasn't a list of the world's top 10 female Formula One motor racing drivers, okay?
Well, there wouldn't be much of a list of that, would there?
Hey?
Well, why have you only commented on the list for young pop stars? There must be other lists.
Because that's the one that was published today.
Is that right?
And I'm not on top of things. Now, listen,
You're not on top of things?
I said I'm right on top of things.
Oh.
Now, sometimes, in fact, I've never understood this ridiculous device, but the snooze button on an alarm clock?
Well, or on your phone.
Oh, on your phone.
Do you never use it on your phone?
No.
Do you never use your phone to wake you up?
No.
Well, you don't sleep, I suppose, do you?
Well,
Why have you even got an alarm clock?
Well, anyway, listen, this is
what you said you only sleep 3 hours a day.
Well, yeah, it depends. 3,
but if
4,
you need
4
an
and a
alarm
half.
clock, but if you need an alarm clock to wake up, that means you're not sleeping enough.
I don't need an alarm clock to wake up. I never use an alarm clock.
Well, why do you know about the snooze button then?
Because I'm telling you about a report I've read.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
I apply myself.
Cantankerous tonight.
I apply myself to these things. Now, obviously you've heard of the snooze button.
I
so
have
have
heard
I,
of it,
but I could never work out what it was. But actually,
it's a snooze button. You hit a button when the alarm goes off.
Yes.
And then, depending on how long you want, it will then remind you, or give you another alarm in 9 minutes' time or something like that. So you can
utterly
go back to
ridiculous.
sleep. Why?
Because if you have a time to get up so that your life runs in orderly fashion for the following day, then when the alarm clock goes off, just get up. Just get up and get on with life, okay?
Yeah, but the reason some people don't like to just get up.
Well, they're useless.
They prefer to sort of lounge in bed for maybe half an hour.
Well, I think that's outrageous,
and
honestly.
sort of wake up slowly. Why is it outrageous?
Because it's ridiculous. When the day starts, when your eyes are open, you get up and you get on with your day. That's what winners do, okay? Losers, go back to sleep and all this kind of stuff.
Sometimes you don't want to wake up and get up at the same time. You want to wake up and be slightly slower.
That is the pattern of life of a loser. I'll show you a winner, and I'll show you a person who gets out of bed the minute their alarm clock goes off, if they've got an alarm clock.
Right.
I'll show you a loser who uses a snooze button, and I can prove it now.
Right.
It says hitting the snooze on the alarm clock and nodding off again can leave you more tired than just getting up. Say experts.
That may well be the case.
Of course it's the case, because, you're dopey and malign and out of sorts with the world. It says the gap between buzzes is too short for the body to fall back into the deep sleep needed to gain any benefit.
See, I don't agree with that, because I know for a fact. Have you ever had a power nap?
No, of course
Never?
not. No, ridiculous
Because
nonsense.
I've had, for example, you can sleep for 10 minutes and feel completely and utterly refreshed afterwards.
So rubbish. If I did something stupid, like said, I'm going to have a power nap for 10 minutes during the day, I would then be groggy for the rest of the day.
Would you?
My body works at an incredible pace.
Does it?
And once
I thought
I
it
say...
works slower than everybody else's.
Well, the rhythms of my heart do, but my brain works at a fantastic rate. And once I say to myself, I tell you what, I think I'll stop for 10 minutes now, I can't get back up through the gears to the incredible pace that I require to get everything done.
But everybody has their own metabolism. Everybody has their own speed at which they like to live and to work and all of that. And so there's no point dictating to everybody else. If that's the way you like it, then that's great. Good for you. I would never, ever try to, impose my will upon you and say, you must have this many hours of sleep, you must wake up in this fashion, and you must get up and go about your daily business.
But I'm not imposing my will on anybody else.
You're saying anyone who doesn't do what you do is a loser.
Well, they are. But I'm not branding them a loser. I'm telling you that is a losing lifestyle. So they will end up a loser.
Absolute rubbish.
Anyway, it goes on to say...
who are these people saying this anyway?
Experts.
Experts from where?
Experts.
Are they from the sleep centre?
No, this guy is from Duke University in North Carolina.
Right. What's his name?
What's his name?
Yeah.
His name is Dr. O'Reilly.
Like that guy from Fawlty Towers who's going to fix the girder. I'll have a crack at it. Do you remember?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, you must not mock, because this is man's an expert.
There are very many famous and well-read Irish surgeons and things, yeah.
Now, what he says is, he says, when we play with the snooze button, our bodies get a confused message. Sometimes we hear the beeping and get up. Sometimes we hear it and stay put for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Sometimes we lie there for another 20 minutes, and so on. If you pick this snooze strategy, your body can't learn the conditioned response between hearing the alarm and getting up. And that's exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
You hear the alarm, that's it, I've got to get up and get on with my day.
Yeah.
Anything else is losing territory.
Well, I don't know if that's true. I mean, like I said, I can sometimes wake up, say, for example, before the alarm goes off. And know that it's half an hour to go, and I go back to sleep. And that last half hour of sleep sometimes is a better sleep than anything you've had before that.
Well, anyway, it says the National Sleep Foundation of Britain recommends 7 to 9 hours sleep a night for adults aged 18 to 64.
Right.
Who
Well,
in
that
their
applies to
right
you.
mind would go to bed for 9 hours?
That's
You
just-
might as well die.
What do you mean, die?
Well, I mean, to be out of it for 9 hours.
Yeah, but you don't get enough sleep, and as a result, the cumulative effect is that you go gaga every now and again.
Oh, yeah, like when?
Well, like every week.
Oh, yeah, like when did I go gaga this week or last week?
Well, you went gaga this week when you started telling that story about Van Gogh's ear. People were saying, if he'd been listening to that himself, he'd have cut his other ear off.
Well, no, it was a true story. I mean...
Well, it may have been,
yeah.
but it was rambling nonsense.
No, it wasn't. It was absolutely spot on, as most things that I do always are.
Okay. Well, anyway, it's time to stop talking now, because
okay.
time is of the essence. And coming up very shortly, we'll be talking to a professor from the University of Southern California. Also, I'm going to tell you about a great story in one of the papers this morning about Donald Trump.
Yes.
Who's apparently been lying about the size of his buildings.
Who has?
Trump.
Lying about the size of what you mean, like his casinos?
No, just making out all the buildings he owns are taller than they actually are, which is quite funny.
Yeah.
This is Talk Sport.
See, the song I most like from Lady Singers is... I've done it again.
Well, that's not from Lady Singers, that's by Britney Spears.
That's what I mean, yeah, well, that's a great song.
That's a bit of a mix, that, isn't it? Britney Spears, Bobcat Bob, and the Porkmeister.
Yeah, it does a bit, yeah.
Now, how about this from Robbie? MG says, of course, Porky's been to a car boot sale. Where do you think he bought the old curtains he uses for his shirts?
Well, that's a bit harsh, isn't it? Eh?
And Steve says, Porky never heard of Shania Twain. That don't impress me much.
Well, I have heard of her, obviously, but I couldn't name one of her records. That's the only point I'm making.
Well, that don't impress me much as one of her records.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Oh, I thought he was saying it doesn't impress him much that I didn't know
Well,
she
he was, but he was using the
see.
line from the song as a way of exploiting it.
Being quite
which is
clever, was he?
Quite clever.
Do you know they take that going back on tour, by the way? But
Yeah,
there's
I
only
think I
three
knew
of them
that.
left. There's only 3 of them left. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, well, they'll make another fortune, won't they?
Well, I suppose so. Yeah. They're
That's
very
the thing.
good, apparently, live.
Well, I mean, I don't think I'd fancy seeing Take That live, to be honest.
No.
I mean, a couple of their songs are okay, but it's a bit poppy, really.
Absolutely right.
How about this from Bob in Sheffield? I think Porky should be on Question Time. It would be the best comedy show on the BBC for years.
Well, a lot of what appears on the BBC in the guise of, serious political debate is, in fact, comical.
Yes.
You know, when they invite people like Russell Brand, for instance, onto serious shows like Newsnight and all that kind of stuff, it is comical. They must mean it to be funny.
Yeah.
Because nobody can take it seriously, can
Well,
they?
I'm afraid some people do. Depp says this, does Porky not like sleep because it's free? I bet if it cost £50 an hour, he would be banging on about its benefits.
That's really harsh, isn't it, saying things like that
Well,
about
because
me?
people know that your world is completely and utterly dominated by money.
Well,
you have no use for anything else.
I'm not sure that's true.
Right.
Now, this new motor of yours, the one that you sort of flash around everywhere.
Well, you keep going on about it. I don't. You're the
Parking
one that
outside
keeps
the
going on
front
about
door
it.
and all that.
I parked the other one outside the front door. It's where I park.
Now, what sort of fuel does it run on?
Diesel.
Diesel. Now, do you know that you are now in danger, because it's a brand new diesel engine and all that, of having to face an extra charge on congestion charge in cities that charge it, like London, because you've got a diesel engine?
I don't pay congestion charge.
Why not?
Because I don't drive the car during the day in congestion charge area.
Yeah, but you might have to.
Why?
Well, in situations where...
Well, if I ever have to, I will
exactly.
pay it. But I don't pay it on a regular basis. I would say I pay it no more than about 4 times a year.
Right, listen to this.
Go on.
Diesel car owners could soon have to pay to drive in 16 cities, right?
Yeah.
This is following a High Court judgment earlier this week. It's been ruled that government plans to meet EU air pollution targets don't go far enough and need to be greatly expanded. 6 citywide clean air zones in which owners of large diesel vehicles would be hit with charges to deter them from driving in are already in line to be enforced by 2020 in Birmingham, Leeds, Southampton, Nottingham and Derby, and by 2025 in London.
Right. Well, I'm very unlikely to be driving in any of those cities.
Yeah, hang on, it's worse. The High Court judge earlier this week ruled the plans are not enough to bring down pollution to within legally binding limits set by the EU. Another 10 cities are now likely to face the pollution tax. So it could now go to Cardiff, Manchester, Newcastle, Liverpool, Bristol, Leicester, Stoke, Coventry, Hull and Sheffield. They are all expected now to have to impose new congestion charges on diesel-driven engines. How long have I been warning our millions of listeners this was going to happen?
Well,
how
quite a
long
long
have
time.
I been warning them?
Funnily enough, a few weeks ago, when I was looking at a couple of other types of cars that I might get, I asked one of the guys who was the car salesman, I said, by the way, what is happening with diesel? Because we keep hearing, all sorts of horror stories that they're going to be putting the taxes up on it.
Yes.
Not just in terms of congestion charge, but in terms of buying it. Because now apparently diesel is the worst form of fuel when we've been told for years it was the best. And he said, you know what, to be honest, nobody knows what's going to happen.
No.
He said, we can't recommend that you don't buy a diesel because we don't know that the prices of fuel are going to go up rapidly. Yeah. But we equally can't say they won't.
No.
And he said, the car industry has no idea what the government is going to do.
Exactly. And I've gone to the history of this because I keep telling people, I said, to blame for this, don't you? And they said, no. I said, Gordon Brown. And they said, you blame everything on Gordon Brown.
And Ed Miliband, who was the Environment Secretary.
And people said, you blame everything. I said, well, I blame a lot on Gordon Brown. I said he was the most incompetent chancellor we've had for 100 years.
And also never elected.
Never elected.
A bit like Theresa May.
Thought himself to be a brain box and said he was a
well,
financial...
he is a clever guy.
Well, he thought he was a financial genius. He wasn't a financial pygmy who was a tax and spend chancellor who wrecked the economy. And so, yes, I do blame an awful lot on Gordon Brown because of his own pomposity and his own self-belief that he could change the world by charging people who earn good money a lot of taxes to waste on projects that never worked.
The problem with Gordon Brown is that he was actually a kind of Jekyll and Hyde figure.
Yeah, he was,
I told you he invited me for tea once, didn't I?
Did you?
Yeah. Did I tell you that?
No, where was that, in Scotland?
No, it was when he was Chancellor.
Oh, I see, of course, yeah. And you were what?
I was editor of the Mirror in Scotland.
So why did he want you down to have
Because
tea?
he was interested, because the problem with Brown was he was obsessed with the kind of internecine fighting inside the Labour Party.
Yes, that's right.
And the guy who was in charge of Scotland at the time was not one of his. He was more one of Tony Blair's. And what I began to realise was the reason he wanted to talk to me was to ask me about my relationship with this other guy.
Exactly.
And how that all went.
But you didn't fall for it?
Well, I didn't really, no. But, I mean, it was quite interesting because I went to the Treasury and sat in his office and had tea with him for about 45 minutes. And then he was a very kind of... he was very sort of touching in some ways when he talked about his kids and he showed me pictures of his kids. But when he got into the whole political thing, you could see that he was a guy that harboured all sorts of grudges. And, you know, only wanted certain people around him.
He came here to talk sport, and Andy and I interviewed him, right? Andy Townsend and I, and then we had a cup of tea with him afterwards. I don't know why. Perhaps he likes tea a lot. And we went downstairs to the boardroom, you know, and they'd done that out. And in those days, the guy who was running this place, the sort of PD, he had a fixation with famous politicians, and he used to bring this special bone china out to give them cups of tea in. I think he used to say things like...
Why did he want to have a cup of tea with you after the show?
I've no idea. But he used to, you know, the guy who was the PD here, he used to say things like...
That's programme director for people who don't know.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. I've just come off the phone to Downing Street, as though it was, you know, like he was on the inside and all that. But in fact, he was a bit of he was a bit of one of those useful idiot type guys, you know what I mean? Bit of a stooge.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, look, I researched it, and this is what I'm going to tell you. This is about the diesel, because we all got fooled into buying diesel cars, you know, because the diesel petrol was put down in price, and we were all told, buy it.
Yes.
This is Gordon Brown again.
Well, we were told that because not only was it going to be something they would recommend, but also because it was better for the environment.
Exactly. Yeah, so listen to this. Tony Blair's Labour government used generous tax breaks for years to persuade millions of drivers to buy diesel cars. This is absolutely right. The first time I got a diesel, I was paying 10p less a litre for fuel than I was for petrol.
Well, diesel for years used to be the thing that was used in trucks and in vans, and it was really expensive, and you wouldn't ever put it in a car.
That's right. Anyway, it says, at the time, scientists said they were better for the environment because they generated less carbon dioxide than petrol. Gordon Brown, the then Labour Chancellor, cut low-sulphur diesel duty by 3p in the 2001 budget to reward drivers of diesel vehicles. The tactic, which aimed to help Britain hit EU carbon emissions targets, contributed to the number of diesel drives in Britain jumping from around 1.5 million to about 11 million today. So 10 million more people got conned into buying diesel engines.
Right.
But scientists now say...
Yours not diesel, then?
Mine's diesel, yes.
Right.
Mine's diesel.
So did you not consider getting a petrol car, then?
Definitely not.
Why not?
Well, because the car comes better and works better with the engine it's got in it, which is diesel. Simple as that.
They do both, though, don't they?
No. If I wanted a...
Because they do a petrol version of the car I've got.
No, if I wanted a petrol version, I couldn't have the same engine I've got now. It would have to be either smaller or bigger.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, so it says... But now scientists have suddenly decided that diesel cars are worse for the environment and a bigger health risk than petrol vehicles because they emit larger amounts of toxic nitrogen oxide, which has been linked to respiratory diseases.
Oh, yeah.
The Volkswagen emissions scandal highlighted how in many cases diesel cars are far worse.
About that. It's just everybody's kind of forgotten about that,
how are far worse for the environment. Sadiq Khan, who is Mayor of London,
Sadiq Khan?
Yeah, Sadiq Khan, that's him. Mayor of London aims to have pollution charging in place in central London by 2017 and across the area within the North and South Circulars by 2019 on top of the existing £11.50 congestion charge. Right, have you got this? This is going to kill you.
Why? Why is it going to kill me?
Hang on, an extra £10 charge is likely to apply. I mean...
What, per day?
Per day.
Well, that's all right, because I say I don't pay the congestion charge.
And that goes back to cars that were first sold before 2005.
Well,
it's an absolute scandal.
Well,
I will sue the government. I will sue the government. I will sue the government.
No, you won't.
If I'm suddenly told,
words.
you're going to pay £21.50 a day now for a congestion charge.
You're more likely to pay it than I am. Because
I'm going to say to them, I bought this car because Gordon Brown told me to, OK?
What else did you do that Gordon Brown told you to?
And now you're telling me... And now you're telling me that it's the wrong car, it emits loads of pollution. That's not what I was told by Gordon Brown when I first decided to buy diesel cars.
I'm
not paying your congestion charge.
To which any decent lawyer would say, what else did you do that Gordon Brown told you to do?
Yeah, well, you know...
Nothing.
I didn't do anything, no.
No.
Because...
Why would you take any notice of a man who was clearly not in control of his own faculties, never mind the economy?
Because he gave me a financial incentive to follow what he was saying by charging me less for my fuel.
Oh, I see.
That's why.
So you bought a diesel car because it had a financial incentive to do so?
Not necessarily. I bought it because the wave of pro-diesel technology had come, and I was told this car runs better on a diesel engine. You might as well have one. So I've been having one ever since.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How about this from Steve? Lads, getting you loud and clear in San Diego. Bath, G&T's and the two mics, California Dreaming. Keep up the good work.
Excellent, thank you. That was
G&T in the Bath, that's unusual.
Yeah, it is a bit, isn't it? Yeah, that was a great record, wasn't it? California
It
Dreaming,
was.
Mamas and Papas.
It was indeed.
What a shame it was that Mama Cass died so young.
Eating a sandwich, right?
Eating a sandwich, yeah. She was a rather heavy girl, wasn't she?
Ignominious way to go.
And I think
Anyway,
that's what happened.
we're going to talk medical stuff coming up next because we're going to see whether these new scientists and their new ideas about finding ways of curing blindness are actually going to work.
Excellente.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on. And, of course, the Porky Quiz is on Liverpool tonight ahead of our visit there, which is going to take place very, very shortly, actually, later on today. We'll be heading up there for a show that kicks off about 7:30. If you haven't got a ticket already, there might just be a couple left, so go ahead and get them, and then it'll be a complete sellout. Right now, though, we're going to talk to Dr. James Weiland, Professor of Ophthalmology and Biomedical Engineering at the University of Southern California, because an operation called Second Sight, which I think is a company as well as a sort of a project, have been working on ways of giving millions of people the chance of seeing again with a kind of bionic eye.
Really,
Let's
that's
find
great.
out from Dr. Weiland what it's all about.
Indeed.
Dr. Weiland, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you, Mike and Mike. Thanks for having me.
Now,
That's
listen,
great.
apparently this is effectively a chip that bypasses the eye and sends a wireless signal directly to the brain. Is this fairly revolutionary, or have you been working on this for a while?
We've been working on it for a while. There's been groups before us, of course. This is the way this works. Some people make a little bit of progress, but some of the breakthroughs in this field about 10 years ago, Second Sight received a approval for their retinal implant. So this is one that goes in the eye, but this can only treat certain types of blindness. You still need a viable connection between the eye and the brain. So if that's missing, then a person who's blind because they lack that connection, they can't benefit from the device in the eye, of course, because the signal has no place to go once it's in the eye. It can't get to the brain.
Right.
So that's why they did this other implant called the Orion, which is directly interfaces to the brain.
So could you tell us roughly, getting away from the techniques of it, Doc, how many people who are suffering blindness in the world at the moment would be suitable to have this sort of device installed, and how much would it cost?
So there's millions of people, tens of millions of people who are blind in the world.
Yeah.
Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at that, most of them are due to a lack of access to health care.
Right.
So they have a cataract or they can't get medication.
Right.
But nevertheless, even in the developed world, there's tens of thousands of people who have certain conditions who could benefit from a device like this.
Yeah.
Currently, it is rather expensive. It's I believe it's about $100,000 US.
Right.
Insurance does cover this to some degree, and as we learn more about the benefits of the device, it may turn out, and there's been some studies that suggest this, that the actual upfront cost of the device pays for itself over time. But that's to be determined still conclusively.
And is this kind of technology the sort of thing that could be used? I know that this is, in your case, a speciality of the eye, but I mean, getting signals to the brain from parts of the body which are not functioning properly. I mean, is this something that could be used for other parts of the body, if you like?
Absolutely, and it's a bidirectional type of connection, too. There's a whole field called brain-machine interfaces, which connects to a part of the brain that controls motion, and they use this to control robotic arms. These are fairly, if you go on the internet and Google brain-machine interface and look for videos, you'll see videos of people feeding themselves with a robotic arm. People who have certain types of paralysis that they just can't, quadriplegic essentially. And now what's really exciting about in that field is that we're now able to provide feedback. So, when you go and reach and pick up your coffee cup or whatever it is you happen to be drinking, you can feel when you grasp that, and that tells you to stop squeezing so hard. We're now able to stimulate the brain and give that same sensation, even though it's a robotic arm that's doing it. So it's really an exciting time in these in the field of bionics, where we have had hearing implants for a few decades now, but now we're getting to have vision implants, and then implants that can control robotic arms for people who are either amputees or suffer some type of paralysis.
I mean, Doc, I think it's absolutely fantastic to give somebody their sight back, who thought they'd never see anything again is just the most amazing gift. But will you now run into the sort of problems that we have with all this sort of innovative technology that improves people's lives, and that's politicians? Because if it's going to cost $100,000 a time, I think it's well worth investing, a few $100 million in this to improve people's lives. Others would say there's more important things like the defence budget or something like that. I mean, will this ever become as regular as, hip replacement? Hip replacements used to cost $100,000 a time.
Yeah, and sticking with the theme of ophthalmology, artificial lenses used to be a big deal and had lots of challenges.
Yes.
Right. So, but now that's now a 15-minute operation. You can go in, and under local anesthesia, you can have a cataract removed and a new lens put in.
Amazing.
So I don't, I think we'll get there.
Yeah.
It's going to take, persistence, and but I think the critical mass is in place. So there's, Second Sight Medical Products is the name of the company. I do have a collaboration with them in terms of disclosure, but they are so there's a fairly successful company that exists making this device, and there's another company in Germany, and there's more companies coming up in Australia and Japan.
Yeah.
So bionic vision is an idea whose time has come, and I think it's going to do nothing but improve.
I mean, presumably, it's like everything in technology. When cell phones first came on the market, they were the size of a house brick, and they cost like $10,000. I mean, presumably, the more people who get one of these, the more regular they're used, and the more the demand for them grows, they will become affordable, won't they, to the individual?
They will, and that's right. And we're going to learn more about the best ways to program them. We're going to learn how to make them a little cheaper. And the universities are working on this. The researchers at universities. There's an active group in London and in Manchester who are doing research on this topic.
Yeah.
So yes, you're absolutely right. And we can never, of course, predict the pace or if this solution will be superseded by something based in either transplantation or stem cell work that allows the actual regeneration of the nerves that allow us to see. But people need some help now, so we can't wait for other solutions to come online when we have something that provides some sense of vision now.
Is there any sense as well, Dr. Weiland, that this could be used perhaps by people who just want to see better, if you like? I'm not talking about
prove their sight. You mean?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Well, like a snooker player or a pool player, or something.
or somebody.
Sure.
I mean, or like military capabilities, perhaps, or people who. I mean, almost like if you wanted to look at something in HD or something,
Yeah. So I did get contacted about maybe 10 years ago by a military policeman here in the U.S. who wanted to know if we could provide him with night vision as long as it wouldn't disrupt his natural vision.
All right.
And so the answer is not really. I mean, the vision that we're providing with these devices remains somewhat crude. It does provide a benefit to the recipient, but it's not quite the vision that you and I have. So someone who has 20/20 vision, even 2100 vision, right? Even if you have slightly degraded vision, you're still better off with that than the type of vision that can be provided with an artificial device. But if you have no vision, all you can see is it's light out or it's dark out, it's noon or midnight, then these devices will certainly benefit you by providing you with some ability to detect large objects and move around feel more confident.
So if you are actually completely blind and you have one of these devices attached to your eyes, what would you see? Would you see just colours and blocks? What would you see?
No, you can make out a person in front of you. You may not be able to. You probably won't be able to tell out who it is. You won't be able to see their face, the features of their face. Though some groups claim that the people with implants can detect smiles. Generally speaking, you could see the outline of a door frame, which would be hugely beneficial if you're trying to leave a room unassisted and you need an orientation towards the exit. that's something it can provide. Some folks can, recognize objects on a table, which helps them become independent. And I think that's the main thing we're working towards, is improving people's independence and their ability to move around in the world. And there's also a social aspect too. A woman spoke to us about, watching her grandchildren play sports, and that she felt more connected to the activity because she could see lights moving in front of her, which she interpreted as the kid, probably correctly interpreted as the kids moving in front of her.
Sure.
So there's a social and psychological aspect to it as well.
Okay. Well, Dr. Weiland, good luck with it, and thank you very much indeed for taking the time to talk to us, and hopefully it will be developed further so that it becomes cheaper and more available to people. But
exactly.
Sounds pretty revolutionary, that. Dr. James Weiland, a professor of ophthalmology and biomedical engineering at the University of Southern California.
That's brilliant. One of these days, you'll be able to walk into a chemist and you'll say, unfortunately, my dad has been hitting the eye with a golf ball and he's had his eye out.
Right.
And I need a new one. And you will off the shelf.
Well, just buy an eye off the shelf.
Yeah, I'm sure you will be able to.
But a lot of what they're talking about is not necessarily the optic nerve, but it's more the transmission of what the eye is seeing.
Yes, exactly.
Into the brain, right?
Exactly, yeah. But you still need the implant in the brain to connect with the screen that you've got on the front of your face to interpret the picture.
Sure.
I mean, the whole idea is plugging it into the brain. The technology is not about having a very sophisticated lens that can assimilate the difference between light and dark. And we've got all that at the moment. We've got all that in space, sensors that have to react to opening and closing doors, all that kind of stuff. It's how to put that into the brain without damaging the brain.
Yes.
And they seem to have conquered that now.
They do.
Yeah.
Fascinating stuff.
It is. Brilliant.
Right.
And I mean, to give somebody their sight back, can you imagine a greater present you could give to a human being than say, I'm going to restore your sight so that those grandchildren of yours who were born 3 years ago, now you've got 2 of them, you're going to be able to see for the first time.
You
Amazing.
used to contribute to a charity, didn't you, called Sight Savers, didn't you?
I did for a long time.
And now you don't?
No, because they were ineffective in their communications. Well, they kept writing to me asking me for money, and when I wanted to write back to the chief executive and say, look, I've got an idea here to help you generate money. It's to do with promotion, and maybe you could do a little video, or we could, work something up to attract publicity. She wouldn't take my email, wouldn't take my letter.
Astonishing.
So it is astonishing. Yeah, well, she should have done.
Yeah.
Because I have the ability to communicate, and I was going to try and help and develop all that. And when she said, she said through a third party, well, I don't take communications from individual donors, even though I was donating several £1,000s a year.
Really?
I said, forget it. So I just stopped it.
Never mind. I'll just have to stay blind,
won't they? Yeah. No, well, that's a terrible thing to say.
Hey.
It's a terrible thing to say. But people desperately need the help. And it's mostly to fight, by the way, an infection of the eyelid, which means that people have to keep their eyes closed.
Anymore, are they?
They're not getting my money, no.
No.
And it's
so
a terrible
you've
thing.
abandoned them.
Man, I feel like a woman. The girls need a break tonight. We're gonna take the chance to get out on the town. We don't need romance, we only wanna dance. We're gonna let our hang down. The best thing about being a woman is the prerogative to have a little fun. And go totally crazy. Forget I'm a lady. Men shirt, short skirts. Really go wild, doing dirt and sky. Get in the action, feel the attraction.
That's a bit of Shania Twain for you.
Shania Twain, that's great.
It's all right, isn't it?
It's very nebulous to me.
Well, it's kind of pop country, isn't it?
I mean, that's just
You don't like that?
that's just
Hang on,
background noise to me.
This is the big bit.
Feel like a woman.
Oh, it's a great song. You don't like that?
That's just a bit of background music. That's the sort of stuff you'd expect to hear in a cocktail bar or something like that. But it doesn't mean anything to me.
No?
It doesn't mean anything. That's not a song, of the significance of something like My Way or something like that. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
just
right.
a load of drivel.
Okay.
Listen,
Well,
how
I'm sorry you don't like it.
How are you interpreting this Andy Carroll story? Eh?
Well, I saw Slaven Bilic having
I
a little
did.
bit of a press conference about it, and they had a film crew down at the West Ham training ground.
Yes.
Where, as they were talking outside it, this massive Lamborghini
That's
came out,
right.
and they had to sort of block out his number plate and all that.
Yeah.
Apparently now we're being told they were after his watch. right?
Well,
and the inference seems to be that because so many of these players have got personalised number plates and everybody knows how wealthy they are, that they're now likely to be targeted.
Well, this is what they're saying.
But I mean, it seems to me that if you're a gun-toting, motorcycle ram-raiding maniac, you're not going to let the guy get away, are you?
Well, why didn't they just do the clever thing and follow him home? If they're clever robbers,
well, maybe,
and then as he gets out the car, if you've got a gun, you actually say, "Take your watch off, please, and give it to me."
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Well, maybe he lives in a place where there's a gate or something.
Well, I'm sure there will be, but there's ways around that.
But it'd be easier, would it not, to just do it on the road?
Well, no, because if you're at a set of traffic lights and you pull up alongside a millionaire in a big, flashy car because he was driving a 4x4,
he was driving a Mercedes G-Class.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. And if you say, right, take your watch off and give it to me now. I mean, he can do what you would have done or what I would have done. You just open the door, knock him off his bike, and you put your foot down and you roar off.
Yeah.
You know, and then.
Well, I mean, Slaven Bilic has said that he was very brave because when you're having a gun pointed at you, you know, that is not necessarily the easiest thing to do.
The only thing I would say is if you're at a set of traffic lights in this country, England, where the crime rates are some of the lowest in the world, and a guy's on a motorbike waving a gun at you, it's very hard for you to take that seriously.
Yes, I suppose so, yeah.
Very hard. You're thinking, hang on, what's this joker doing? You know, all that kind of stuff.
Did we not? Because also we talked to Tim Vickery a few months ago, and did we not hear stories there of in Brazil?
Yeah, very rich players are targeted.
Yeah, but also what you don't do is you don't sit in a traffic jam with your arm out the window.
That's right.
Because it has been known, and I don't think I'm over-exaggerating this, that some of these
chop your arm off.
would actually chop your arm off.
That's right, to get
take
your
a £20,000 watch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
which is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, as I said yesterday, I hope he wasn't too badly shaken up, but it just seems a very odd story to me.
It's a very odd story indeed. I just don't get it.
Because they also showed what I think was supposed to be the part of the road where it happened in Essex.
I saw it.
Which didn't look like there was a load of parked cars everywhere.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I saw the crossroads where it's supposed to have happened.
Yeah.
I think it did say Leighton Road.
It was somewhere in Essex,
something like that. Yeah. And I thought, if I was a robber, why would I do it at a traffic light junction when A, there are so many witnesses, B, there's so much traffic moving around that it's more likely on a motorbike you're going to get knocked over by somebody else, you know, if you're trying to get smart with the car. And just so, what I'm saying is, you have no control over the environment in which you're trying to commit this theft at a crossroads where there's traffic lights all over the place, and it's absolutely bizarre.
But they might also feel, for example, that if they were to follow him home, that he might have some security people at home or something like that. Because, I mean, one of the things Bilic said was, you know, obviously there's not much the team can do about this.
Yeah.
But, my immediate thought was, well, actually there is. You could have security details with all the footballers, if that's what they want. If they're going to be driving around in very expensive cars because, I mean, what you might find as well is they're going to hijack the car or carjack it. Do you know what I mean? Not just take the watch.
Yeah, sure.
But I would have thought, you know, just say, get out of the car.
That's right.
Give us your watch and we can drive off in the car.
Having your car, that's right, yeah.
Who knows?
There's a few of tomorrow morning's papers are doing like these in-depth studies on why does Andy Carroll always seem to attract trouble.
He does, rather,
for instance, when he went to live at Kevin Nolan's house, Kevin Nolan being his captain, I think, at Newcastle.
And his kind of mentor, wasn't he?
And his kind of mentor and all this. What happened the first night he stayed there was somebody came and set fire to Kevin Nolan's car.
Yeah.
On his driveway. And there was one occasion, apparently, when he got involved in some sort of a dust-up in America when he was on holiday there.
Yeah.
Ended up in hospital. I don't know.
I mean, there are people who are sort of magnets for trouble, and he does seem to be one, doesn't he?
He's a very big lad.
Yeah.
And I suppose, you know, big lads like him who are a bit sort of... not so worldly, you know, brought up in Newcastle, one of the lads, away lads and all that, got a very sort of, you know, acceptable sort of attitude to life and people around him. I suppose they can find themselves, you know, in vulnerable situations.
Yes. There was another story, actually, related to West Ham in the news last night, and that was that one of the people involved in the committee to work out the cost of how much it was...
London Development.
Yeah, London Development
has
quit.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know.
So the old the edifice is already crumbling, if you like. And they've now announced, have they not, that for the game this weekend against Bournemouth, I think it is, that they're going to actually put police in the stadium.
That's right.
Stoke, sorry, to keep the fans separated from each other.
Exactly, to try and make sure that there's no trouble.
Yeah, but hang on, which I can't believe they didn't do for West Ham at Chelsea.
Yeah, well...
And also, if they can't communicate with each other, which we keep being told they can't because the radios don't work, what's the point of doing that?
But they did have, didn't they, a temporary radio communication set up at the last home game, but that didn't work because, well, I mean, I think they could talk to each other, but it wasn't effective because they, once again, they had... they had fan trouble and trouble on the terraces, which spilled onto the pitch. Yeah,
Bizarre.
yeah.
Got an interesting tweet from Becky in New Zealand. A
Yes.
story that's been brought to her attention.
Oh, yes.
In Christchurch, and you'll love this, right? Christchurch police are being investigated by an environmental agency for pouring hundreds of litres of booze into a drain.
Right.
This is booze that was taken from a restaurant.
Confiscated, yeah.
Confiscated because it was displayed without a licence. 343 litres of champagne. Cognac, 18-year-old whiskey, and $800 red wine.
Yes.
It was all tipped down a central Christchurch police station drain.
Right. And why are they being prosecuted or investigated? Sorry.
Well, because the alcohol's worth about 20 grand.
Yeah.
Why would you pour it away?
Well, what else should you do with it? It's contraband stuff.
Well, if it's not contraband. If it didn't have a licence, it just means they've confiscated it. They could have sold it off at an auction. Surely they could have done something with it.
Well, I mean, during
They could have given it to the Christmas party for the cops.
Well, during the Al Capone era, when they confiscated like millions and millions and millions of barrels of illicit hooch and all that kind of stuff, what did you expect them to do with that?
Well, the other thing that they've been
They
criticised
poured that
for-
down drains.
Yeah.
In fact, I think the Great Lakes got polluted by the amount of booze they emptied in there.
That's one of the things that's being brought up,
Yeah.
because they're saying that unless you have an actual licence to dump trade waste, which is what it is, you can't do it. You can't just pour it into a drain, because you know where it's going to go.
I don't know where else you can pour it.
I'm surprised you're not sort of outraged by the waste of it.
No, I'm not outraged.
343 litres of champagne, cognac and whiskey.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry,
Well,
but when
it's
it
a
comes
terrible waste,
to
that.
when it comes to criminality, I don't think anybody should benefit. So
Well,
I can't see what else they could have done with
Despite
it.
your involvement in the Red Diesel scandal, the swapping of the Corona lemonade for
I don't know what
various
you're
other
talking
things.
about.
Well, you've admitted to all this in the past.
No,
All of the various little
no.
schemes that you got up to when you were younger.
No, I don't think so. They were just
Well, you're just gonna
situations
deny
in which I
You know,
I
flogging
became
a car to a guy that was about to break down.
what, the car or the
Yeah,
bloke?
the car.
I think he broke down when he found out what he'd bought.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, it's true.
So, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
it's
just
true.
criminality as having, no licence to display some champagne.
To be honest, that was just opportunistic. What happened was I got my mate to service the car, and he came back and told me this is completely knackered. He said, your piston rings have all gone. So he very kindly put some silver foil rings around the pistons
I thought you
in
said
their
he put
place.
some coal in it or something as well.
No, well, he did two things. He put silver foil rings around the pistons in place of the piston rings himself, which had worn away. And then, so as it wouldn't make a noise, he poured a load of sawdust into the block.
Oh, okay.
And that's,
I thought it was charcoal.
No, it was sawdust and oil together. So that made it so thick and gooey that it didn't cause the knocking noise that was going to happen when the big end and the little end suddenly collapsed.
And you've lost me already. I don't know
well,
enough about engines, I'm afraid.
No, well, it's basically when a piston goes up and down, it pushes a crankshaft up and down, and the crankshaft has a big end and a little end, and the big end was going.
Right.
Basically.
Funnily enough, my old Mercedes, I was putting some a windscreen washer in it the other day.
Oh, yes.
And I noticed it's actually got a fan belt.
Oh,
which I
really?
didn't know existed anymore.
No, I didn't know that existed. I can't see my engine because when you open the bonnet, not that I ever have done, but somebody opened it while I was there once, and it's just got a big black plastic cover over everything.
Right.
I wouldn't know how to put anything in anything.
Right.
I don't think you can.
Well, you can put oil and you can put like windscreen
I'm not
washer.
sure you can.
Yeah, you can.
Can you?
Yeah, there's a little top for it.
Are you sure?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, I'll have to ask
How
somebody
about this
that.
from Derek in Pencoed?
Yes,
who has sent us a little
Oh,
missive.
Derek the bog cleaner, you mean?
He says, Porky, I can do
Hello,
up to
bog cleaner.
4 shifts a day, starting at 3 o'clock, finish at
Oh.
9 o'clock. So
Oh.
I have a snooze button on my alarm clock, but I don't really need it. Are you going to insult me? Well, I think you've already answered that
No,
question.
Derek, I will not insult you. You are Britain's top bog cleaner, and you get your sleep, man, so that you can wield that bog brush.
Well, I think he's working even as we speak.
Is he?
Yeah, I think so.
What a boy.
Indeed. Now, coming up in the next hour, we've got the Porky Quiz on Liverpool.
Yep.
Because we're going there tonight.
Yeah.
And we're very much looking forward to that. This is Talk Sport. This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on as well. How about this from Dazza, who says, Mike Parry laughs at hoodwinking an unsuspected member of the public with a car and yesterday mocked your moral compass.
No, I didn't. I mean, it was many years ago, and it was a mistake, obviously, not something I would do again. But, I mean, in those days, we didn't have much. We didn't have anything.
No.
So, it was a survival of the fittest, I'm
Indeed.
afraid.
Ollie says this,
Yes.
What's up with no beer at Europa League games? Went to Saints versus Inter, got to the ground an hour early and had a cup of tea.
Yeah. Why?
I don't know. I didn't know there was any rule about... I thought you couldn't drink beer at most football grounds anyway.
Well, you can. You can drink beer at all football grounds.
Yeah, but
you
not
can't,
actually...
You can't take it to your seat.
That's what I mean. You can't take it to your seat. Is he saying you can't even buy it then?
Well,
at a Europa League game?
He seems to be saying that, doesn't he? If he was drinking a cup of tea.
I didn't know if that's is that a UEFA rule?
Well...
I mean, can you buy beer at Champions League games? I think you can.
You can.
Although, I told you when I went to the Nou Camp that time to see Barcelona against Real Madrid.
Indeed.
Which was one of those pre-season kind of cup games. Or
yeah, I know.
Some
tournament.
It was the one where Mourinho poked Villanova in the eye.
Oh, that's right.
So it was quite a needle type game.
Yes.
But all over the place, I saw that Estrella was the sponsor of the Nou Camp Stadium, which is Spanish beer.
Yes.
And I thought, well, this is great because I could see people drinking beer, and I thought, great, I'll go and queue up, I'll get some beers, bring them back to the seat, which I was able to do, but only to discover that all the beer they were selling was non-alcoholic.
Really?
It was non-alcoholic beer.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not much cop, is it?
Because you're not allowed to sell, or at least in that stadium, you're not allowed to sell beer with alcohol in it.
No. Well, they might have.
And I'm told there might be a UEFA rule. In fact, there is a UEFA rule that says no beer at football matches.
Yeah, exactly.
So that'll be why.
I'm not sure that is a rule, and if it is a rule, it's a bad rule because, in my view, that causes more trouble than it solves. You know what I mean? People get frustrated and angry and all that kind of stuff, and
they might well have had some beer before they got there anyway. So it's not as if it's going to stop them drinking.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was about.
There's a lot of pandemonium, and you'll pick it up when we go to Glasgow later on in the year because we're doing a show at the garage on December the 17th.
Yes.
There's going to be an Old Firm game on Halloween on the New Year's Eve. Have you seen that?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I'm just thinking that one through.
And everyone says this is the most ridiculous idea. And apparently the fixture was chosen by the people who do the fixtures for the competitions.
Yes.
And it's this American machine that they use that does it. And it's kind of all done at random.
American machine.
Yeah.
Well, I said to you, why are you dragging me away to Glasgow on the 17th? Because it's the Everton-Liverpool game.
Oh, you did mention that, yeah.
It's been changed.
Oh, has it?
I think it's on the Sunday.
Well, I said you might do that.
I think it's on the Sunday
now.
now.
Does that mean you're going to go then?
Well, I don't know, because I'm trying to work out exactly what the logistics of it all are. In fact, probably some Everton fan or Liverpool fan listening now is going to say, no, it hasn't changed. They've only changed the time of it on the Saturday. It's definitely changed from 3 o'clock on the Saturday, and I'm trying to... work out in my head. In fact, I'll find out. And
well, if it was at 3 o'clock on a Saturday, you wouldn't be able to see it anyway because we're doing the show here.
No, that's what I mean.
Until 1 o'clock.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Are we? Until when?
We're doing the warm-up would be on a Saturday until 1 o'clock.
Of course, we're flying to Scotland that afternoon, aren't we? That's why we've got a time.
Have you sorted that out yet, by the way?
Well, I'm working on it.
Are you?
I am working on it, believe me.
All right, good.
Although it's somewhat difficult.
Well, I'm sure if it gets moved to the Sunday, there's no reason why you couldn't get from Glasgow to Liverpool in a couple of hours.
Well, I would think so, but I'm going to find that out before the end of the show. Listen, do you know who's died?
I don't know, but I'm sure you're going to tell me.
Well, no, I mean, look, I don't like to dwell on death, of course, and all that kind of stuff.
No, of course, but pretty much every show we recognise somebody who's just died.
Well, I find fascination in the lives of people who've had great lives, and I think they should be celebrated.
Yes.
And I think we should all spend more time, celebrating these lives. But a guy called Joe Sutter's died. And
Joe who?
Joe Sutter, S-U-T-T-E-R.
Okay.
And although you will say, who's Joe Sutter? He's the guy who invented the jumbo jet.
Oh, really?
And not only did he invent the jumbo jet for Boeing, but he had to convince everybody, including the directors of Boeing and the American National Aeronautical Board, and the Secretary of State in America for Transport, and the White House and Congress, that it would not drop out of the air before he was allowed to get on board the first test flight.
Now, funnily enough, I saw a documentary not that long ago about this very thing. I can't remember if it was on regular TV or if it was on Netflix or something like that.
Yes.
But it was a documentary about the sort of introduction of the jumbo jet.
Right,
and how it transformed air travel completely.
Right.
And how nobody actually believed, looking at the size of it, that it would ever get up in the air.
That's right, absolutely. So what he did was, some expert said that plane will never get off the ground.
Right.
And the expert said that it would only fly a maximum of about 250, 300 yards or something like that, and then it will drop out of the sky.
And was there not an incident where the first one that they showed flying actually crash-landed or something?
I'm not aware of that. I wasn't aware of that when I was reading the obituary earlier today. But what Joe Sutter did was, he said, your calculations are completely wrong. He said that will not happen. This plane will get off the air, it will fly a full circuit of the designated route of 250 miles and come down again.
Right.
And the guy said, it won't. It'll drop out of the sky just after you get over the perimeter of the airfield.
Yes.
He said, OK, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll ask my wife to stand on the other side of the airfield perimeter, exactly where you say it's going to drop out of the sky.
Right.
The guy said, you'll kill her. He said, well, I'll do it. And she has faith in me and she'll do it. So his wife stood there. The plane took off. Of course, it flew over her head, flew the 250-mile route and came back and landed safely.
Yeah.
That was quite a thing to do, wasn't
Incredible,
it?
yeah.
To say, you know, I'm going to put my wife underneath the place where you think it's going to
A bit like
fall
old
out the sky.
Selwyn Gummer making his children eat hamburgers during
That's
the mad
right,
cow
yeah.
crisis.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. You know, stuff these down your face,
That was
children.
unbelievable.
You know. Yeah, it was.
That was really unbelievable.
Well, the worst one was David Mellor when he got caught out with that actress, you know.
Oh, yeah.
How tawdry was that? He was having horizontal refreshment with an actress in a like a one-bedroom, like a bedsit flat on a mattress in the corner.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a bed.
No.
On a mattress in the corner. And then... to prove what a family man he was, when it was revealed in the Sunday newspaper, went down to his in-laws, so that's his mother's parents.
Yeah.
They couldn't have been too happy
No, I wouldn't have thought
to see
so.
their son-in-law, you know, distinguished cabinet minister, suddenly found to be a grotty, you know.
But that was all a Max Clifford invented story, as it turned out. Not invented in the true sense.
No, the
but
bit that
the
Max
Chelsea
Clifford
shirt
invented
thing.
was the Chelsea shirt. Yeah, he
Right.
took his clothes off and had his Chelsea shirt on. He made love to me in his
But I
Chelsea
assume
shirt.
that he facilitated Antonio de Sanchez selling the story, didn't he?
He did, yeah. Mind you, as Mr. Clifford is now a guest of Her Majesty's convenience,
Shocking.
You have to wonder whether...
Absolutely shocking.
But-
Now, Ollie, just to go back to the UEFA drinking rules.
Oh, yes,
I was told by
yes.
the girl behind the bar, no beer being sold because of Europa League rules.
Oh, yes.
Well, in which case, why did you send us the earlier tweet about not knowing why they weren't selling beer? Because if they've already told you it's because of UEFA rules,
Yes.
then why would you need to know the answer?
I don't know. I can't answer that one, can I?
And
How-
Craig
how
says
could
he
I
was at
possibly answer that
Wembley
one?
last night. I presume he means for the Tottenham game.
Yes.
And there was no beer available in the stadium.
Is that right?
So it must be a UEFA rule.
Well, it must be UEFA rule. You're absolutely right. Yeah, and if it's UEFA rule, you can bet your life it's not a good rule. You know what I mean? They don't seem to get a lot of it right, in my view.
Now, how about this picture?
Yes.
I know you've got this longing to go to the Sydney Opera House. There's a guy
Yeah.
called Mitch sitting opposite the Sydney Opera House.
Excellent.
Listening to the show.
Would that be where the rocks are? Because that's where I stay. I stay at the Hyde on the rocks.
I don't know, but I've not been there, so you
well, it
can
looks
tell
to me
me
like it is.
which angle that's
Yeah, it
from.
looks to me like
I mean,
it
that
is.
looks to me like the angle from where the Sydney Harbour Bridge goes that way.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I
Yeah.
think that's right. Sydney Harbour Bridge to the left.
He's
Yeah,
not sitting on
right.
any rocks, though. He appears to be sitting on a quayside.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, but the rocks are actually huge boulders, which
Are they?
are just in front of him there, which lead up the sort of causeway to the hotel where I was
Yeah.
staying.
Steve says maybe
Yeah.
those guys on mopeds were just trying to give Andy Carroll some advice on shooting, which is a little bit in poor taste, I would say,
Yeah, it
if
is
he
in
was
poor
truly
taste,
in some
yeah.
danger.
It's far more likely. I mean, look, we don't know what's going on there, but is there going to be an investigation, and will that investigation perhaps reveal that maybe Andy Carroll was not a random footballer who came out of the training ground
Yeah.
with an expensive watch on, but maybe these guys, for some reason, had some inside knowledge of Andy Carroll. You know what I mean?
Well, there's no story that I've read or seen over the past 24 hours that
Yes.
says the police are looking
Yes.
into it, really.
No, that's another strange thing, wouldn't you think? You see,
I mean, the police are looking into my shirts being stolen.
Yes.
You'd think they'd be concerned about two guys on motorbikes with guns
Well-
driving up to random cars at traffic lights in Essex
I mean,
and demanding watches.
This is exactly the point. What I'm saying is that if the police know there are men around who ride around on motorbikes, you quite rightly say, waving guns at innocent members of the public, that is an extremely dangerous situation.
Yeah.
Shouldn't there be a mass alert out now? Shouldn't the police have issued warnings saying, close your windows at traffic lights, do not open your windows, do not glance over at motorcyclists
Right.
who may pull alongside your car.
And if you've got a nice watch on, don't stick it out a window in your arm.
Be vigilant, report your suspicions to the police, here's the number to ring. Surely all that should be going on, shouldn't it?
You would have thought so. But there's no mention of cops anywhere.
No, I know. It's very, very strange.
Yeah.
I mean, what we really need is we need a good old-fashioned Fleet Street crime editor, right?
Yes, I
To
don't think
s-
there's any left, is there?
Well, I don't think there is, but I mean, to sort of talk to a few of his mates, you know, who maybe are now inspectors in the flying squad, like Jack Reaney or something like that, and try and find out exactly what attitude the police are taking to this. Because the police have some favourite expressions, like, for instance, we are not seeking anybody else in relation to
Yes,
this crime.
that's right.
When some guy's walked out of court and been found innocent by a jury, maybe the jury were nobbled or something like that, but
Yeah.
they would say we're not looking for anybody else.
Well, I mean, imagine if you, in your capacity as a juror,
Yeah.
get mixed up in one of these stories.
Well, this is exactly. Now,
I've got some news for you here, by the way, on the Everton-Liverpool derby.
Oh, yes.
Carl says it's now been moved to Monday the 19th at 8 p.m.
Say it again.
It's been moved to Monday the 19th. At
The
8
Everton-Liverpool
PM.
game?
Yes.
That's it. I knew it'd been moved. I knew it'd been moved from that weekend. Now, that in itself...
That's December, isn't it?
That's December. That in itself poses a challenge.
To you or to them?
I think we're working like on days that week, aren't we?
I'm not sure. I should check for you.
Yeah,
though.
exactly.
I don't
Something
think we
like
are.
that. Oh, we're not? Yeah, but anyway, yeah, it poses a challenge.
No, I don't think we are, actually.
Might have to have the night off then.
Really?
Maybe.
What, to go and see the Everton-Liverpool game?
Well, wouldn't you take night off for that?
No, well, I wouldn't, no.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
Really?
idea. Yeah, might have to.
Well, then, if we're going to
Yeah.
go to Glasgow and stay there into Sunday,
Yes,
and then the game's on Monday,
yes.
is there any point coming back to London?
Not really.
What are you saying?
Well, I'm saying I might have
You're
to
saying
split
we
with you
should
in
go on
Glasgow.
Are you saying we go on a 3-day bender, is what you're saying?
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah,
That I'd come with you?
That's it. Yeah, I could do. Yeah, yeah.
Well, see how much money we make in Glasgow, I suppose.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
We've got to get that sorted. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, it's worth putting out there.
Yes, yeah. It's
Right.
worth thinking about, isn't it?
Yes,
Eh?
absolutely right. Now, the quiz is coming up
Very
very
cold
shortly.
this morning again, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, hang on. Look at the time. Have you got no concept of time?
I think there's a freeze coming.
Hit the
That's all.
snooze button. This is Talk Sport.
Come fly with me, let's fly away. If you can use some exotic booze, there's a bar in far Bombay. Come fly with me, let's fly away. Come fly with me, let's float down to Peru.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Now, Ollie behind the glass predicted, he's an expert on American football. This would
Okay.
be a big scoring game. It's 40-20 now.
Yeah.
In favour of the Atlanta Falcons against the Tampa Bay team.
Is that right?
Yes. I
Oh.
think he said the Tampa Bay Rowdies. That was a football team.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And this is a good thing, yeah?
Well, I mean, it just shows you sometimes it's a very high-scoring game. I think most people, generally speaking, would prefer to see a high-scoring game in any
Well, of
sport
course, of
rather
course.
than a low-scoring game.
Yeah,
wouldn't
now,
you?
sorry about that. I just had a sneeze there, and I had to turn away from my microphone. I just wonder whether the onset of winter has just suddenly hit us at this
Well, do you know
sort of time.
what? Do you know what? I think
What?
definitely. And there's a lot of people who've got little colds because it
Yeah.
suddenly became very, very cold. And you were saying it was very
Yes.
cold this morning.
Yes.
3
Yeah,
degrees.
it was. It was about 3 degrees.
Yeah.
And you know, for the past few years, I've always gone and got my jab. You know,
for flu.
to stave off flu.
Yeah, but you got it one year and it didn't actually do any good, did it?
I got it one year, and I had 2 dreadful colds over the period of that winter. And then I read a report saying that this jab has now become largely, it's become questionable. I can't say it's ineffective because I haven't got any evidence it
Well,
is.
they
But
don't-
I definitely had it one year,
Yeah.
and I'm an at-risk member of the community because of my heart. Only 1/3 of my heart works, as you know. And
So you say.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. I don't know why you keep saying so you say, as I'm some sort of charlatan
because
going around
because
pretending I'm ill.
you don't live a lifestyle which tells me that you suffer from cardiac, whatever it is. What is it called?
Dilated cardiomyopathy.
Cardiomyopathy.
Well, that's because I fight it in my head, and I
Well,
I believe that
Well, that means you're running a risk of dropping dead.
Yes, that's true.
Well, that's not very responsible. You're always talking about how I'm irresponsible and that I don't
Yeah.
plan for things.
Yes.
But you are the most irresponsible of all because basically what you're doing is threatening your own life
Well,
by
I,
insisting on living a life as if there's nothing wrong with you.
well, no,
You don't sleep enough. You don't
No,
eat
no.
enough
No.
good food.
In no way.
And you imbibe alcohol in a way which you shouldn't.
No, in no way am I going to cosset myself like that because otherwise my life would not be worth living. What I say to myself is, you've got to sort of go for it, you know, and
Yeah, but you have
just get on with it.
responsibilities now.
Hey?
You have responsibilities.
Well, I only have responsibilities to keep you in work.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
not
that's,
sure.
well, that's a very good responsibility.
I'm not sure that's.
If
that's
you
a-
drop dead, I'll
yeah.
have to work a lot harder.
Yes, really.
You know,
Yes.
which I don't really fancy doing.
Yeah, it's
necessarily
absolutely true.
at this point.
Now, you know when we were down in Bournemouth, do you remember me telling you that... in fact, I'm not sure if I showed it to you or not, because I don't think we got down onto the pier. But, of course, the Bournemouth pier is the one I was going to jump
And we
off.
did not get down to the Bournemouth pier.
No, we didn't, no.
No, we came straight down the road, went straight to your sister's house.
Yeah.
From whence we then took a cab to the football ground.
Right.
From whence we then took a cab back to your sister's house.
Right.
From whence the next morning we went straight back up to London.
Okay.
So
now,
we didn't go anywhere near the seaside. I never saw the sea.
No, so say, okay. Now, you know that pier I was going to jump off, and I
Yes.
would have done had the authorities let me,
Really?
but I couldn't. So in the end, I made a £1,000 donation to local children's home, which
Right.
everybody said was very generous.
And that
but
was
I
when
thought-
you made that appalling microphone grab on the
I don't
on the
think so.
pitch at Bournemouth. Yes, you did.
I think it was
When
decisive.
that nice girl Kelly Summers was in charge
That's
of their
right,
PR.
yeah, decisive and authoritative presentation. But anyway, the point of the story is, right, it's right next to the pier at Bournemouth.
Yeah.
They tried to invent this surf paradise. Now, I've told you about this before.
you told me about this
Boscombe.
before, yeah.
At Boscombe.
But it failed.
Well, what happened was they spent £3.5 million nearly on putting these huge sort of bags and whatever you want to call it to try and create a barrier reef.
Yes.
And the whole idea was that as the water
Such a ridiculous idea.
Well, as the water was coming in, it would suddenly hit this barrier, and whoosh, it would jump up, and then all of a sudden you'd have these artificial waves, which would look like real waves, and Bournemouth or Boscombe would suddenly grab the title of Surf Paradise of the South Coast away
that was
from
never going to happen, was
Cornwall. Well, apparently they've abandoned it. My sister was telling me because she lives down there.
But
right?
I thought when you told me the story before, I thought they'd already abandoned it.
No, what had happened is it's been lying dormant for a couple of years now while they decide what they're going to do with it and how they're going to improve it, make it work. Now they've decided, I think, just to take it away. I mean, literally, I think they're going to...
they're going to remove all the stuff they put in the sea?
Well, well, after my sister rang me and told me about it, I got the report. It says if Bournemouth Council had bought a real white elephant and buried it at sea, they'd probably have created a better surfing reef than the one they actually managed. At a cost of £3.2 million, it was supposed to turn the state's South Coast resort, once home for attracting groups of sun-seeking pensioners, into a destination for cool surfers from across Europe. Instead, it became a potential death trap which created such strong underwater currents that surfers risked being sucked into the gaps between the 55 giant sandbags that were used to build it.
Oh, yeah.
So, in fact, in the end, they had to ban people from actually going anywhere near it.
So you can't actually use that part of the beach, effectively?
No.
Well, that's stupid, isn't it?
So it says, now the artificial reef, first dreamt up more than 20 years ago, will finally be abandoned after proposals to sink other objects into the sea and describe it as a diving and snorkelling trail at an extra cost of £428,000 have been shelved.
Yeah. Well, that comes as no surprise, does it? Considering the amount of money that gets wasted by local councils. What an idiotic idea.
Yeah.
Now, I was going to tell you earlier about Donald Trump and his claims and his exaggerations about some of the buildings.
Yeah.
Well, according to one of these pieces in the papers this morning, he allegedly goes around telling people that his buildings are actually taller than they really are. Really? So that when he's putting out...
Can't people check this out just by,
they must do, yeah, but you know what it's like. I mean, the difference between the flannel of a salesman and the truth.
Yes.
You don't always work out until after the time that you bought something, right?
Yes, right.
Now, for example, he's got a building called 240 Riverside Boulevard. He's claimed that it's
Where is it?
In New York City, I think.
Right, yeah.
He's claimed it's got 41 floors.
Yeah.
It's only actually got 31 floors.
Well, I mean, surely you could just stand on the other side of the street and count them, couldn't you?
Well, yeah, but I presume that when you're being delivered a prospectus,
that's right,
and being told this is what you can buy,
yes,
an apartment in this building,
yes,
this is a great building, it's got this, that, and the other. You're not going to be standing opposite it, counting it. How about this Trump World Tower? I'm not sure where that is. It might be New York as well. The claim is 90 stories. It's actually only 70.
Really?
Trump Soho. Claim 46 stories, only 43. Trump
That's in
Plaza,
Soho in Manhattan, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Trump Park Avenue. He claims it's got 35 stories, only got 31. Trump International Hotel and Tower claims it's got 52 floors, only got 44.
But sorry, where is he making these claims? In speeches or is he boasting it in literature? Well, is he saying, come and take your offices to Trump Tower, it's got 41 stories, but it's only got 31? I mean, where's it coming from?
It's where he's describing to groups of people who he's trying to attract as either investors or residents into these buildings.
Yes.
He's just basically exaggerating the claims. He's basically a bit like you. He exaggerates everything to make it sound like it's better.
Excuse me.
When he renovated the 583 Trump International Hotel in 1994. He said it was 52 stories, though it was actually only 44.
Where was that?
Eh?
Where was that?
The Trump International Hotel. I think that's in New York as well.
You sure it wasn't the one that's closed down in Atlantic City?
The one in Atlantic City, no, because he bought over he built the Atlantic City Trump casino back in the 80s. I remember going and staying there. But he hasn't actually, I mean, it went bankrupt the other week, but he hasn't actually had any ownership of it for quite some time. Decades, I think. Yes. But it just goes to show that he's a guy who likes to exaggerate things.
I suppose all politicians are of the same sort of ilk, aren't they? I mean, they have to sell themselves in the best possible way they can in terms of impressive and impression and all that kind of stuff. I mean,
that is the line, the delicate line that you have to, people who exaggerate have to walk, because you're either lying or you're exaggerating.
I see Jeffrey Archer was interviewed on a programme yesterday.
No, was he?
And I can't remember which one it was now. Was it? I think he was with Kay Burley on Sky or something. And not sure why they were interviewing him, to be honest, but he's always a very engaging sort of a bloke, because he's a novelist and all that kind of stuff.
Lord Archer?
Yeah, Lord Archer, yeah. But the reason I say that is that because he was once accused of getting an entry in the Guinness Book of Records saying he raised a record amount for charity, like 54 million or something, in one particular, day or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, detractors forever were trying to find the 54 million for the next 10 years, never did, and all that kind of stuff. It's what's like politicians, and remember, he started off as a politician, always do. And I'm not saying that he didn't raise the money, by the way. I'm saying that people thought that they couldn't find it. So.
Well, there have been many stories about Lord Archer over the years.
Yes.
And I think he would certainly be put down as somebody who has exaggerated things in the past.
Well, he was, of course, he served a jail sentence, didn't he, on a perjury charge, wasn't it, that eventually saw him down. But he also claimed to have run for Oxford University, which other people have disputed.
Yes.
He said he'd never even went to Oxford University as a student.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, there are two kinds of people. There are people who exaggerate stuff for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
And people who don't.
Yeah.
And I know which one I am, I have to say.
Yeah.
Now, coming up, it's time
I don't
for
think
the
Bob exaggerates.
I don't think he does exaggerate. Actually, I think he's a man
it's
who
on my radar!
just speaks out his mind as he sees it. Coming up next is the Porky Quiz on Liverpool.
Life goes on day after day. Hearts torn in every way. So ferry cross the Mersey, 'cause this land's the place I love, and here I'll stay.
It's a very pleasant song, that, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose it is. Yeah, I suppose it is quite pleasant, yes.
I mean, it doesn't conjure up the Mersey to me. It doesn't really conjure up Liverpool to me. Liverpool sounds a lot busier to me than that,
Yeah, but it's very across the Mersey bit. That's how most people got across the River Mersey to go to work, from Birkenhead to Liverpool and vice versa, in the sort of 60s and 70s, but hardly anybody ever uses it now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, anyway, as you know, the quiz was changed relatively recently to Liverpool, because we're off there to the O2 Academy tonight, which is going to be a great show. And if you still want to get a ticket, you better be quick, because I don't think there's very many left at all.
Yeah.
If you get one right, you will hear this sound.
I'm the normal one.
And if you get one wrong, you will hear this sound. Ready?
It's a bit of a strange noise, that one.
You want to hear that one again?
Yes, please.
Calm down.
I
think it's one of those.
Yes,
all right, ready?
okay.
Question number one.
Right.
When did Liverpool celebrate its 800th anniversary?
Its 800th anniversary?
Yes.
Let me see. I reckon that was in...
You're doing a bit of a...
yeah, hang on. I think that was in the year 1908.
Incorrect.
No.
It was, in fact, in 2007.
2007?
Yeah, which is about 100 years out, wasn't it?
Well, Liverpool was founded in 1108. So
well,
800 years later was exactly what I just told you, 1908.
No, it's 2007 is the answer.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Question number two.
Yeah.
Who is the mayor of Liverpool?
Sorry?
Who is the mayor of Liverpool?
The mayor of Liverpool?
Who's the mayor of Liverpool?
What do you mean, like Bessie Braddock was the mayor of Liverpool?
Not like Lord Mayor, no, the mayor.
The mayor?
The elected mayor.
What, like now?
Yes.
Well, that's a ridiculous question.
Why is it a ridiculous question? You know who the mayor of London is, don't you?
Sadiq Khan.
There you go.
Yeah.
So who's the mayor of Liverpool?
Well, the mayor of Liverpool...
you don't know, do you?
Well, that's just not relevant to...
Well, it's a quiz on... You want a quiz on Liverpool?
To the history of Liverpool.
It's not about the history of Liverpool. It's a quiz on Liverpool.
So you all know the mayor of Liverpool?
Yes.
Right. Okay. I believe it to be Alf Arrowsmith.
Incorrect.
No.
Does he exist?
What?
Does he exist?
He used to be a footballer.
All right. No, it's a man called Joe Anderson.
Joe Anderson.
The mayor of Liverpool's elected every 4 years, apparently.
Right, okay.
Question number three.
Yes.
What is the dialing code for your telephone for Liverpool?
Dialing code for Liverpool is... Thinking aloud. It's got a 5 in it. Used to be... I'm pretty certain... because I dialed this number on multiple occasions. 0151.
Correct.
Hooray!
I'm the normal one.
Woo, 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 woo.
I thought if you didn't get that one, we'd have to cancel the show.
Yeah,
Question
brilliant.
number 4.
Yes.
Which iconic motor car is currently manufactured at Halewood?
Halewood,
Yeah.
at the moment. Now then, let me... Yes. Now, the Halewood plant used to be a Ford plant, OK? And it's down near Speak. And it was then taken over by the company, Tata, that produced, thinking aloud, both
I'll wait
Jaguar,
for your final answer.
Jaguar cars and Land Rover cars. Then I believe that the Land Rover developed into the Evoque. I believe it's the Land Rover Evoque.
Well, it's the Range Rover Evoque, I'll give you that.
Range Rover
And the normal
Evoque, hey! Woo, woo, woo,
There's no such car
Thank
as a
you.
Land Rover
No,
Evoque. You're
Range
lucky I
Rover.
didn't give you half a point. I must be feeling sorry for you.
No, Range Rover
That's
Evoque.
2 out of 4.
Oh, this is brilliant. This
Question
is
number
50%.
5.
Yes.
What is the oldest building in the city centre?
The oldest building in the city centre. Right. I think it would probably be the Three Graces were built in the early part of the 1900s. I think it's probably, because a lot of bombing went on there in the Second World War, I've probably St George's Hall.
Incorrect.
No!
It is, in fact, Bluecoat Chambers, built in 1718.
1718.
There is an older Tudor building, but it's not in the city centre.
Right.
Question number 6.
Yes.
In what street would you find the Cavern Club?
The Cavern Club.
Yes.
That's in... I'm just trying to remember, because there was an original Cavern Club, there's a new one. I think they're both in the same street, and it would be Matthew Street.
Correct.
Hooray! Woo, woo,
I'm the normal one.
That's
Yeah.
3
Yes.
out of 6.
Yes.
Not bad.
Yes.
Question number 7.
Yes.
Who are Liverpool playing in the EFL Cup quarter-final?
Well, I'm not a Liverpool fan.
Well,
You
it's
know
a quiz
that.
about
I'm an
Liverpool.
Everton fan. I'm an Everton fan.
Oh, who are Everton playing in the quarter-final
Of?
of the EFL Cup?
We're not in it.
Oh, right, sorry. Well, I'll have to ask you about Liverpool then. Who are
Liverpool
they playing?
in the quarter-final of the EFL Cup.
There's only 8 teams, isn't there?
Yes. I believe... I'm just thinking aloud here. I think it's... Is it the prize draw of the competition? And is it, this is my final answer, Arsenal?
Incorrect.
No!
It's Leeds United.
Leeds United.
Question number 8. Everton have won 82 games against Liverpool.
Yeah.
How many have they lost?
Everton won 82 games against...
I don't wish to intrude on private grief, obviously.
I actually went to the 100th Everton-Liverpool game.
Did
Can
you?
imagine that?
I can imagine it.
Yeah, amazing. Right, so...
When was that then?
Well, it would have been... You see, for quite a long time after the Second World War, Liverpool were in the second division. So if you take 2 games a season,
Yeah.
probably... maybe, 40 of them had taken place before the Second World War, and then the other, 60 after. It was about 1968 or something. I
Oh,
think.
was it? Okay.
And anyway, so Everton have beaten Liverpool how many times?
82 times.
How many have we lost?
Yes.
I'm going to say, because there are a couple of cup finals as well.
I'll give you 5% either way on this.
Okay. I would say 92.
Incorrect.
No!
It's 115.
115. Didn't want to know that.
No, I know you didn't. Question number 9. How long is the River Mersey?
How long?
Yeah.
From where to where?
From the start to the estuary.
We start to the estuary.
How else would you measure the river?
Well, it depends where the river rises, doesn't it?
Well,
it's
no.
always debatable.
Well, no, it starts in one place. And
depends where
goes
it
into
ends
the
as
sea.
well. Where does it end?
Well, it ends when it goes into the sea.
Yeah, and how do you know where the sea starts and the Mersey estuary finishes? Huh?
Well, you don't count the estuary as part of the river. You count where it enters the estuary as the end of the
Do you?
river. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting to know.
Oh,
So
you didn't know that?
I would say
The Thames doesn't flow into the English Channel. It flows into the Thames estuary.
yes. I see what you mean. Okay. Well, I would say in that case it's probably there's a lot of canals around there. You see, a lot of canals in the northwest. The Manchester Ship Canal, Liverpool Leeds Canal, the Ribble Canal. I think the River Mersey is 32 miles long.
Incorrect.
No!
It's 68 miles.
68?
Yes.
God knows where it goes for 68 miles.
Well, it comes from Stockport.
Stockport?
Yeah.
Stockport's about 12 miles away.
Well, it must be very windy then.
Ridiculous, that.
well,
Stockport,
that's all right.
Stockport's in Cheshire.
Yeah.
That's about, literally, that's about, it is. It's from the estuary. It's about no more than 15 or 20 miles.
68 miles long.
Ridiculous.
Question number 10. Final question. You've currently got 3 out of 9, okay? Now, I predicted you'd get 4 out of 10. So if you get this right, I'll be spot on.
Yeah.
Where did the Beatles first play together on January the 5th, 1961?
The Beatles or Paul McCartney and John Lennon and the Quarrymen?
This is the Beatles.
1961. See, do you mean in this country or do you mean in Germany?
Well, I'm asking you where they played. The quiz is about Liverpool.
Yeah. Well, they must come back from Germany then, obviously. 61, because they were in the charts by 63, like top of the charts, weren't they? So I would say... Well, Brian Epstein found them in the cavern, thinking aloud, so it must have been where they first played together, except I suppose they could have played in the Grafton Rooms, or it could have been New Brighton. I remember them playing in New Brighton. Dear me. The obvious answer is the cavern, you see. So, but we've had a question on the cavern already. Where is it?
Well, doesn't mean there wouldn't be a second one.
I'm going to have to say... you see, I would have said St Peter's Church, which is where the gravestone for Eleanor Rigby exists. But that was in 58, and that was when John and Lennon met as the Quarrymen. So I'm going to have to say 61.
Yes, January the 5th.
Yeah, when they were a proper group. I think the Cavaliers were maybe behind them then. Oh, dear. I'll have to say... No, I'll have to say the cavern.
Incorrect.
No!
It was the Litherland Town Hall.
Litherland Town Hall?
Yeah, which was before the cavern, actually, and before they went to Hamburg. But it was as the Beatles.
No, it wasn't before they went to Hamburg.
Yes, it was.
Went to Hamburg in the late 50s.
Well, they went to Hamburg in the early 60s.
Well, they went twice to Hamburg, so it may have been the case.
Yes.
Oh, well.
So you got 3 out of 10.
Well, some of the questions were a bit obtuse, weren't they, eh?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not responsible for the questions.
Yeah. And the mayor of Liverpool, I mean, what a dumb question.
Well, I mean, if there was an elected mayor in London and you know who he is, and you claim to be a man of the North, why wouldn't you know who the elected mayor of Liverpool is?
Well, because you don't. I mean, people just don't know who mayors of cities are, do they?
Well, you know who the mayor of London is, though.
The mayor of London is a national figure. I mean, you know, Boris Johnson was a mayor of London. You know, they are national figures.
Oh, you think? OK, well, don't say that when we're in Liverpool tomorrow night.
No, well, probably not.
I should say. No. That was the Porky Quiz, of course. That was 3 out of 10, even less than I predicted. So I dare say there will be some people in Liverpool who think that was a pretty poor show. On any other sites?
Well, I don't think we're going to have time, to be honest.
Really?
We get there about sort of mid-afternoon, and then we'll have to go over to the
Mid to late afternoon, really.
Mid to late afternoon.
Yeah.
Go over and make sure everything's working, like the lights and the sound and all that kind of stuff. And then I abstain from bladderation prior to a show, as you know.
Well, you're not going to have anything on the train?
No, definitely
Nothing?
not. Definitely not.
Okay.
No way would
All
I
right,
do
so
that.
if I see you having anything on the train, I'll take a picture of it
Yeah,
and put it out.
I'd regard that as irresponsible and unprofessional.
Okay.
So I won't be doing that. And then we'll get up there. But I'll tell you what I was going to talk to you about, actually.
Yeah.
And it's something I've been talking about for a while.
Okay.
Have you ever posted a board of cuttings together to map out your life?
What?
It's called a collage. Have you ever designed your own collage?
Well, I know what a collage is.
Yeah,
You used to do them at school.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
But
yeah.
not about my own life.
Oh, I've done one. I've done one 2 or 3 times during my life. I've decided
Why?
that. Well, for instance, and lots of very successful people do it. Victoria Beckham did it when she was about 17, and she cut out all these bits and pieces from magazines and all that. She said, "I'm going to be a pop singer, going to be a fashion designer, going to get into films."
Well, now we have something called Facebook, which I suppose is the equivalent of that.
Well, people still do it, and I've done it 2 or 3 times in my life.
What, do you actually get the scissors and the glue out?
Not really. What I do with mine is I sort of put them into a scrapbook, you know what I mean, and put them in there.
I've got a cuttings book.
Well, I went out. Yeah, but that's of stuff that you've done.
Just stories that I've
no,
written,
this is where you have to project your thoughts for the future and how you're going to make your life work.
Oh, right.
Now, I went out with a
I'd
girl.
like to see these. You've got to take pictures of these.
Yeah. I went out with a girl once, right? And she was determined to spend the rest of her life with me.
Was she?
And she had a collage of me on her wall in her
collage of
her
you?
flat. Yeah.
What, you mean pictures of you?
Yes, pictures of me, pictures of me next to famous film stars. I was going to be a
Like
film
who?
star. In those days, I think it was like John Travolta I think.
So what sort of period of your life are we talking about?
Well, sort of when I was about 18, 19 or something like that.
You mean not real pictures of you with John Travolta?
No, you fool. I've never met John Travolta.
Well, I didn't know whether you'd met him or not.
She would say, is Mike Parry and John Travolta are going to be the same?
Well, that's a bit sad, isn't it?
No, not really, no. But the thing
Kind
is...
of pathetic, actually.
No, it's not. It's not. Now, I picked all this up from a book somebody wrote me, and it's about life coaching.
Oh, yeah.
And the woman who wrote it was called Melanie Bundock, right?
Uh-huh.
And she started the collage sort of revolution. Lots of people do it. And,
Yeah, but you haven't done one like recently, have you?
Well, yeah, a few years back I did,
Really?
yeah, because I decided that I was going to re-kickstart my life.
Okay.
I mean, for instance, I always knew that I was going to be, like, in print. I knew I'd see my name in print, right? And I thought I might be an author or something like that. I became a journalist, right? I knew I would sail across the Atlantic Ocean on the Queen Elizabeth II.
Right.
I knew that I'd fly in Concorde. I knew...
How did you know all that?
Because this is what I'm saying. This is on my collage when I was like 18, 19.
But you can't just do a collage and then it all comes true.
No, you do. This is the
might
whole
as well
point.
have put a collage of you walking on the moon. Doesn't mean you're actually going to walk on it.
No, you don't understand. What it's all about is that if you can place your ambitions on a collage board, then that drives you to try and fulfil them.
Well, it's all that positive thinking nonsense, isn't
Well,
it?
here-
If you can believe you can do something, that you will end up doing it.
Here, what Melanie says, this is the life coach whose book I got, okay? She says, we all have dreams and ambitions that we bury. We get bogged down with day-to-day living and convince ourselves that we've left it too late. Visualisation, this is what it's all about.
Yes.
Is about reordering your thinking and allowing yourself to dream big and imagine a life where anything is possible. Once you get your thinking right, you will start to see how anything is possible, okay? And that's what we do. That's exactly what we do. We put on this collage board,
but
put it
there's
on the
lots
wall,
of different ways
and then
of
you've
doing
got to
it.
go and achieve.
Well, so have you got this collage on your wall at home then?
No, but I've had one in the past.
Have you?
In the past few years.
Really?
Yeah, I decided I was going to be a rock star,
Right.
and then eventually I went off and made Paint It Black, okay?
Right. Well, that didn't make you a rock star.
No, but it gave me the rock star experience.
Did it?
Yeah, oh, absolutely, no doubt at all.
Right.
You know, when I dreamed that I would, romanticise lots of beautiful women, that came true.
Did it?
Came true over the years.
Well, there weren't very many beautiful ones.
That's a very unkind
I've seen
thing,
some of them.
stupid thing to
I've
say.
seen some of them.
Well, I'm sorry, you've also seen Trudy, who you admitted yourself
Trudy was a very
a
nice-looking
fantastically
girl.
good-looking woman.
Yeah.
You've seen other of my past girlfriends. And,
I have.
And you've known that they've been beauties and all that kind of stuff. So what I'm saying is, it's all about visualisation. You put that up on there and you say, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, but it's like all of this mumbo jumbo.
I knew I was going to go to America. I knew I was going to conquer America, live in America.
You didn't.
And I did.
It's like having a wish list, isn't it?
No.
I mean, you can have a wish list and say, well, I'd like to go to America.
No.
I'm going to try and make that happen.
No, it's much more than that.
No, it isn't.
When I was 18
all right,
or
well, what
19, I
else did you
cut
put
out a
on there?
picture of the Empire State Building.
Right.
I thought one of these days I will stand on top of that building.
Where'd you cut it out of?
It's a magazine or something, I suppose. I don't know.
Did you go up it in the end?
No, I've never been up it,
So
actually.
you didn't stand on it?
No.
So that's what I mean.
No, but when you live in New York City, you don't go up the
I did.
Empire State
Of course you
Building.
did. I went up there with Benny Hill.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
it was a very
interesting.
bizarre thing. Benny Hill came to America.
Yes.
And it was one of those trips where all the TV writers came with him.
Yeah, right,
Because he was coming over to conquer America.
Yes.
And of course, because Today was the paper I worked for, we always the cheap one.
Yeah, sure.
They didn't send somebody with him.
Sure.
So they said, "Can you just pick it up in New York?" And I went, "Fine." So it was all the sort of London-based people like Charlie Catchpole and all that crowd.
That's right. Yeah.
And of course, the thing about Benny Hill was that in America, nobody knew who he was.
No.
Except he was very popular on the Spanish channel because the Spanish TV people loved him.
Right, okay,
And so they used to overdub it in Spanish, but a lot of it because there was no words. I mean, all the running
Exactly,
about, right? So we went up there. They decided when the snappers all went, let's take him up the Empire State Building. And so we went up there, and at this point we were walking through the streets of Manhattan. Nobody was doing anything, nothing.
No.
We got up to the top of the Empire State Building. The security guard at the top was a Hispanic guy,
Right.
and he went nuts. He was like, "Benny Hill, Benny Hill." It's very funny.
Fantastic.
And then all these, and
Brilliant.
he radioed all his mates who were also Hispanic. They all came up. There was this mob scene around Benny Hill. He was doing all that, with the blinking and It's a very funny experience.
Fred Scuttle and all that. Yeah.
It's a great view from up there. Actually, you should go.
Well, maybe
when we go
I'll
back to New York, you should go. But I mean, you must have also things on that collage that didn't happen.
Well, no, most of them
Really?
did. For instance, I remember I had a picture of the Sydney Opera House as well.
Yeah.
And I ended up staying in a hotel
Yeah.
where when you pressed a button by the side of your bed and the curtains opened, there was the Sydney Opera House.
Yeah.
Most of what I wanted came true.
Yeah, but putting a picture of a Sydney Opera House on a collage doesn't really mean anything.
It does. It gives
All
you
that means
inspiration
is-
to want to go there.
Do you, do you
Yeah.
need that, though?
Eh?
Do you need that? Do you need to do that?
I do think you've got to motivate yourself. I mean, for instance, people who sometimes can't decide whether they want a dog or not, right? They cut out a picture of a puppy dog,
right,
and they put it on a collage board, and they put it on the kitchen wall.
I don't know anyone that's got a collage board.
And then 3 months later, they get themselves a dog.
So what was on the collage board that you did the most recent one, then?
I decided I had to get going again and do other things. Actually, some of the things that you and I are doing now, like getting up on the stage and talking to people and all that kind of stuff, okay?
All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, listen, I'm again, very happy that it works for you. I wouldn't have it wouldn't work for me. You know,
if you haven't done it, you don't know, do you?
Well, no, because it wouldn't interest me. I have no time to do a collage. I would never cut things out and stick them on something. It's just a waste of time.
I mean,
that's a waste of time.
Oh, I tell you what, I did put on my collage board, the most recent one, an Aston Martin. And I said,
put an Aston Martin on your collage board?
Yeah.
Do you not think there's some irony about that?
No, there's no irony. Why is there irony?
Have you got a picture of James Bond as well?
No, you don't understand. I don't want to be a secret agent, but I do want to acquire an Aston Martin.
Right. Well,
so
why
I
don't you just go and buy one?
Sorry?
Why'd you just go and buy one?
Well, I might do.
Instead of putting it on a board.
No, because it's to remind me that these are your targets in life, these are your achievements. I mean,
well,
frankly,
you haven't got to remember much.
Frankly, I think it's time I did another collage board about now.
Right.
To get my final
So
list
what would you put on it now, then?
What would I put on it now?
Yeah.
A Rolls Royce.
A Rolls Royce?
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt.
Any particular model?
Well, a Silver Shadow, probably.
I don't think they make those anymore.
Silver, whatever it is then. Silver something.
I don't know what Wraith, I think they make.
Silver Wraith, yeah, something like that, yeah. I might also put a picture of an island on it, because I've always had an ambition to own my own island.
An island?
Yeah, an island.
No man is an island.
Well, you can buy islands pretty cheaply, you know, up in Scotland.
Just buy
there's
one,
like hundreds of...
Why would you have a picture of something you want to buy? Why don't you just go and buy it?
Because...
I might do... instead of going and buy some shirts yesterday, I could have done a collage with some shirts on it.
No. You don't
understand.
What would be the point of that? What happens is, if you're indecisive, which I'm indecisive about buying an island, but you put it up on a board like that, and then you pass it every time in the kitchen. Then you have a thought and a competitive thought about it. You know, you have a positive thought and think that's a really good idea, and then
I mean, this is the kind of thing that you would be very dismissive of, right?
No.
If it was given to you in the guise of a sort of self-help book.
No, and then you have a negative thought thinking that might be a bit too much trouble. Then you have a positive thought saying, wouldn't it be great to have your own island and welcome people ashore and all that kind of stuff? And then you have a negative thought saying, I wonder if it's got any running water, you know, and all this kind of stuff.
You're filled with negative thoughts,
No,
aren't
I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
No, I'm not.
You are always filled with negative thoughts.
That's the sort of thing that you have to do. And then, really, you would start... I mean, you see, I can't stand bucket lists. I think bucket lists are rubbish.
Well, how is a bucket list rubbish, and yet you do this ridiculous collage?
Well, the bucket list is all about, things I've got to do before I die.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, what is the next...
I get what the difference is.
What is the next level of my achievement pattern
But
in
I
life,
don't understand
right?
why you have to stick it on a collage.
To remind yourself that you've got to do it.
Well, you haven't got to remember that many things. So far, all you've got to remember is an island and a Rolls Royce.
No. Most people have a fleeting thought about, I'd love to do that, and they don't I've
never been like that.
They don't have positivity with it.
But I've never been like that, see, because I'm more spontaneous than you.
I have positivity in mind.
If I want to do something, I'll just go and do it.
I've got to get into it and do it. I tell you what I did do once. I cut out a picture of Goodison Park, put it on my early collage board, because I was determined to become chairman of Everton Football Club.
Yeah, but that didn't work,
No, it didn't work. No.
But the other good thing about that is that the picture of Everton... but the good thing about the picture of Goodison Park is it hasn't changed over the years. It's exactly the same.
It is, yeah.
Because they haven't bothered actually upgrading.
No, it's because it's one of our brilliant traditional grounds.
No, it's a ground...
And we must never knock it down.
No, it's a ground that's in desperate need of improvement.
Not at all.
Well, that's what everybody tells me.
Not at all. You haven't been there recently.
Well, I've never been there.
No, exactly.
Because you never offered to take me.
So you talk garbage.
Why don't you put a picture of me on your collage?
Oh, no.
Hey?
No.
I'll supply you with one.
No, that would demotivate me.
How about this from Robbie? He says, here, live at the Halewood plant, we build the Land Rover Discovery and the Discovery Cabriolet as well.
Excellent.
So you should only get half a point for that.
Hey.
And Becky says, what easy questions on the Porky Quiz. Even this London girl got 5 right. Shocking that Porky got the Everton and Beatles questions wrong.
Don't believe you.
This is Talk Sport.
Don't forget to come back tomorrow for another sparkling, as fizzy as a bottle of champagne podcast from the two mics.
Here's one from Bob, who says, money ain't everything, Mr. Parry. Dr. Jonas Salk gave away his polio vaccine patent to the world as well.
Did he?
Yeah.
What a mug. It's quite dark underwater, apparently. And well, it is dark. There's no light. What's the most famous thing that ever came out of Denmark?
Well, I know. Hans Christian Andersen.
No, bacon.
Bacon?
Yeah. They were the first people to realise that you could turn a pig into a bacon sandwich.
I don't think I remember ever saying the word peloton.
Yeah.
So we didn't quite know what to do. So after a while, we made it possible for the plank to sort of go flat. So if it was trying to get away, it would be able to do so. And then one morning we came down, and it was gone, and it escaped.
What? You never saw it again?
Never saw it again. So I think it's quite an adventurous tortoise.
I say pa.
Do you? Pa. Really? Marvellous. He is Mike Parry, and I'm Mike Graham.
And you are not a jerk, my boy. No, you don't understand. You've got to know the personality of a despot and a conqueror to appreciate his contribution to the history of the world.
Is that why you appreciate it?
Well, it certainly is. I tell you what, I thought it was absolutely fascinating. It's some of the stuff that I read about him, made my blood curl. You know what I mean?
Your blood curl?
Yeah. I tell you what, if I ever got caught by Genghis Khan in another life or something like that,
your hair curl?
I'd fall under the hooves of a horse before I'd let him take me to the molten lead butty treatment. I'm telling you. You know what I mean?
Molten lead butty treatment. Yes. Well, unfortunately, we've run out of time for your Genghis Khan Appreciation Society moment.
I tell you what, I bet the audience have much more appreciation about it than you have.
Yeah.
You dismiss it as nothing. People will see the relevance of what I'm telling you.
Yeah, they'll be talking about it all day down the pub. Your